Okay, I'm going to put this microphone on the table, and if you're speaking, try to speak like into it so that people on the call can hear.
You pass it around to some extent too.
I think it needs to plug in, right? So, oh wait, I actually can't directly plug it in. Maybe we try to just do without it.
Do you want me to grab my laptop, which is a USB port? I think that's too much.
I think so. Can we be a little quiet, and then I'm going to test something? Can you speak?
Hello, can you hear me if I'm speaking at this volume? Gabe, Luke, Sam, test.
Very quiet. Okay.
Hello, can you hear me if I'm speaking at this volume at this distance? Test. Test, 1, 2, 3, test.
Okay, that's better.
So I guess if people want to speak, they should come to the middle here.
Yes, this is like the stage to speak. And everyone try to be relatively quiet outside of that. Yeah, come stare at me as you make limited points. Okay. So how this is going to work. First part of the meeting, which we're doing now, we're going to talk about all of the archetypes, whatever that means for this set. Unclear, we should talk about it. This is how we talk about the commons. Ranking commons, ranking cards against each other, not important. We shouldn't do it. Talking about individual cards, what their homes are, how they fit into decks, very important. That's what we're trying to do.
I think there's one exception to the ranking commons is not important thing, which is we should have some sense of what the best commons in the set are, or best uncommons in the set are. Tier ranking good, individual ranking not good.
Yeah.
I also think that if people have things to say, like raising hands is good for keeping the conversation flowing.
And keeping the volume down so people on the call can hear. So yeah, definitely raise your hand and I will try to like call people to speak. Also, if you don't want to like get up and come here, just yell. I think that's fine. Hopefully that'll work. But like definitely project. Don't like just say a thing near where you are because that's not going to work for the people online. Yes. Okay. Let's get started. I have not actually thought very much about how to organize this. I think we should probably just go through each of the individual colleges, talk about the synergy space, the like level 1 deck for each of those colleges. And probably as we touch on each of them, we will have like side slant decks that you can do in each of them. And then probably at the end, we can talk about like more general deck building fundamentals in this format, which I actually think are probably more important than like doing the synergy thing in each college. So I'm just going to arbitrarily start with Silver Quill because white, black are like the first colors that are available. Silver Quill, Jason, you're much better at like pulling out relevant stuff than I am. If you want to operate, you can. I can also do it. No, that's not what I want. I want to filter rarity. There we go. Silver Quill. You talk while I... Okay. So the main like level 1 deck in Silver Quill is an aggressive, assertive deck. You very, very much want 2-drop creatures, especially the multicolor ones that scale well and continue to be relevant later in the game. These creatures are really crucial to have early because you want your repartee stuff to be adding to your board presence, getting your things through, getting a little bit of value, and you need your creatures in play before you cast your spells that target to do that. There's like multiple spells that put counters on creatures. You need cheap creatures to be able to use those effectively. I would say that in this deck, there's just a lot of like replacement level 3-drop, 4-drop, etc. creatures that you can run. You can expect to pick those up kind of for free, but also, I think removal is pretty important for this deck because you need the creatures are like relatively small compared to the rest of the format, and you need ways to break through. Dig site inventory is a good way. I think there's like kind of 2 ways you can build this. You can be very assertive and making like super large bodies early with your pump spells like Render, Silent, or whatever it's called, but 2 black-white that puts 2 counters on a thing and thought seizes them. Dig Site Inventory works certainly quite well with this, and you play like a Scolding Administrator, you make it a 5/5 immediately and start attacking them, and you have another body so that they can't really kill it with most removal spells. That will end the game extremely quickly, and most decks won't be able to deal with it. Then you can also have a little bit more of a grindy, value-y, like I'm going to kind of get little incremental value as I trigger repartee over the course of the game deck. This does not have to be as aggressive. I had a draft just now that was very like, I have cheap creatures, they're going to be good at attacking and wearing counters, but mostly I'm just playing a bunch of card draw and removal, and my cheap creatures are going to like clean up the game after I've kind of answered all the things that matter on the other side. Yes, I will stop talking. Does anyone have Silver Quill thoughts?
Sam Pratt made a message about the range being from true aggro to more mid-range, with the more mid-range version being a Cost of Brilliance deck, and the aggro version being a Dig Site Inventory deck, which I think is a really good alternate framing of what you just said.
Yeah, I want to note that in most decks in this format, you do want to be able to play in the late game. That doesn't mean that you have to like focus, like put a lot of cards into focusing on the late game, but like just that you have ways to spend mana throughout the game. Some important tools for doing this, like Sam mentioned, cost of brilliance in Silver Quill is a big way to like trigger repartee while drawing cards. But there's also a bunch of other like larger card draw spells, like Stargaze is another one. You have to be a little careful about like not being behind on board when you cast that, but it's very powerful as a late game card draw spell. I've had success with Return to the Ranks. I'll talk about that during the Rares and Mythics meeting, but this can be a coherent way to have late game gas, specifically when you have Elite Interceptor, which is a little, also, I will note, a little bit of card flow. Elite Interceptor and Inkling Mascot are also just generally ways to just like have a little more resources through the game, filter out some of your lands so you don't flood.
Does Rapier Wit also count as card flow for this purpose?
A little bit.
It's a little air also, though. So kind of, but be careful. Like, you need to be getting some value from it, I think, from your repartee triggers. As like a empty cantrip on its own, not really.
It gives you ways to like trigger repartee without going down on cards in hand, but you'll like drawing a card will draw you only, half of a spell, right? Like you're drawing a land sometimes, so you need ways to also filter through those, or like meaningfully like still have ways to spend your mana, right?
This is kind of more of a limited meeting structure question. I wanted to chat about Moment of Reckoning, the 7 mana thing. Is that for rares and
I would say mostly for later, but we can call out certain rares that like couldn't be played in decks. Moment of Reckoning is good enough to play in literally any Silver Quill deck. You should put it in your deck, even if it's a very aggressive assertive deck. It gets definitely better if you can like hit your land drops, draw a bunch of cards.
Would you mind pulling in Scathing Shade Block for me? I think that card is great in this color combination.
That's the like Naga.
The 5 mana trigger replicator.
Yeah. Another card I've heard some people mention as like a kind of mediocre but still somewhat grindy tool is Forum Necroscribe. With these grindy tools that like return creatures from the graveyard, I found a really big thing really is having copies of Elite Interceptor or other ways of like having a creature that can trigger repartee itself. So like generally a prepared creature, but Elite Interceptor is just the best of those by a lot.
I would say that like you definitely need a plan for the late game, and that plan should either be growing your creatures to scale with the board or having ways to get them through that ignore big creatures on the other side.
Again, let me know if there are other places to talk about this, but regarding Forum Necroscribe, are we generally considering this as the play pattern of, things are kind of petering out, I'm going to attempt to slam this on 6 once I have 6, hope it like stays around because ward should be a punishing enough cost that I can untap and have something? Or are we waiting for 7 to always guarantee value? My hunch is not the latter because 7 is so much mana, but just want to check.
Yeah, you're not like limited is not like constructed. You're not generally able to set up like
quote unquote like perfect airtight plays or anything. Like just play your 6-drop.
I would also say that card is a lot more like you have a bunch of aggressive tools to start, like, and your opponent has to use a lot of resources to answer them, and then you're like, here's my 6-drop that does a plan on its own, and they're like, fuck, I used all my stuff to deal with it.
Yeah. I think it has like pretty mediocre stats, if is my impression.
It's not great.
Yeah, but
Don't
like
just put it in every deck.
it's the kind of thing where it's not great, but it very much fulfills a role that you might want to fulfill in your deck, and like you're not just drafting like 17 land stats. You're drafting cards. You know.
Very true in this format in general.
I have a question. The Necroscribe, does it read better in a more soupy deck where like your creatures might be a bit more impactful than like a quote unquote low to the ground white-black aggro deck? Because like the text on itself kind of reads deeply scary.
You do need to check whether the creatures you're getting back are going to be relevant when you're getting them back.
Yeah, because like if your deck is like Inkling Mascots, maybe it's not exactly like exciting.
So I will note that if you're getting back Inkling Mascots, that's just like more evasive threats as long as you're still triggering repartee.
Yeah.
If you're getting back Elite Interceptor, that just chains into getting back more things.
Yeah, true.
Right.
A thing. Sorry.
You go first.
Okay, sorry. Something that Maura brought up in one of her many excellent write-ups was the idea of like we want some density. It doesn't really matter what, but we want a density of prepared creatures. And that plays very well with that idea of like if we're able to recur an Elite Interceptor, that gives us a thing. Plus, it increases our overall density of both creatures because we need those to curve out and kill our opponent, and repartee triggers because we need those to make our creatures actually relevant on the board.
Also, yeah, if we have some people monitoring text or voice, that would be really useful.
Yeah, I have it pulled up here.
Perfect.
Any other comments about Silver Quill in general, like how to draft?
I will say, so I've done very poorly in this draft format overall. The most success I've had is drafting Silver Quill aggro. I believe that having evasive threats is like super, super crucial for getting the deck over the line. So it's even things that don't like look like they're for Silver Quill. Things like Owlin Historian is a notable card that it's great if you can slam it on curve. It's great if you can bring it back with Necroscribe. It's a good card that I've been liking a lot. Dig Site Inventory is a super crucial card.
On Magic Online, Silver Quill is definitely a deck that has the Sky Coach land. Like that's the deck I see it the most in. So the black white deck that can get a bit more value and has good mana already. It's just
My question, just to follow up on Sophie's comment, would you go as far as stuff like Soaring Stone Glider, or is that just like not efficient enough?
Wait, Soaring Stone Glider is just a good card.
Yeah.
It's efficient, yeah.
Yeah.
It dies to a lot of removal, so it's not amazing, but like it's an efficient card you play in most decks.
Yeah. Seething Shade Rider might be a better question. I mean, like this is a card that you can play just to like if you need something a little more impactful on your top end or something. It does attack your opponent's life total.
I will also say Black's like card engine tools and Silver Quill's card engine tools are a little bit lacking. Shout out to Surveil. I think I've moved up on the black-white 3-drop with Surveil over like the other 3/3 with Vigilance that gets pumped in combat. I kind of think you just want ways to not flood in this deck, and the Surveil can fill that role if you don't have a lot of the card draw.
I think probably the most important common for the deck is Elite Interceptor. Does anyone disagree?
I agree with that.
Maybe like Dig Site Inventory is up there too. They have, like,
Depending on the
similar roles.
version you're building.
Yeah, there's similar roles. And is Cost of Brilliance a common? I can't remember.
Cost of Brilliance is a common.
Okay, I would put Cost of Brilliance like in that.
And Dig Site Inventory are kind of both halves of that.
These ways to trigger repartee without going down on cards, basically.
Yeah, and Dig Site doesn't go down on cards because two triggers.
Yeah.
I would say Silver Quill is probably the most straightforward deck in the format, where it's pretty hard to do fancier things here, and you're more incentivized to do the like I'm just black-white, I'm not splashing, I'm not souping, etc.
Luke in Text for Voice says, Cost of Brilliance is uniquely important here more than Elite Interceptor, which is generically important.
I think this is true for
Yeah, Elite Interceptor is a better card generally.
I think Cost of Brilliance is true for like a lot of non-blue black decks. It's just like good card flow and that's something you need in this format.
It's worse in more controlling decks where the 2 life loss matters.
Yes.
So on this topic about splashing, so Ryan has already said that you are generally doing this thing. So the question is, when do you splash? What is justifiable to splash for?
That was going to be my next question. Has anyone had success with Silver Quill decks that are off plan in some way, that are doing something weirder, including a different color for like some kind of role or strategy?
Okay. It's still okay. Splashes that are still kind of on plan. Sometimes you're splashing red for more removal, because there's not enough black removal in the pool, or it's got to take it by someone else. I think that makes sense. I did one time, and this is for a rare, so. I had success with just a straightforward Silver Quill deck that was splashing blue for Exhibition Tide Color, just because you're playing a pretty high density of like instances.
That is a late game plan.
And that is a late game plan that you can just kind of win with.
I've seen blue splashes for the Sky Coach as well, because it works well with
the prepared spell.
yeah.
It's just a
I at some point almost splashed red for removal, but instead I chose to play Harsh Annotation. And I think that people should be willing to put this in their Silver Quill decks. I think it is one of the worst ways to trigger Repartee, but it will do the trick. It is a removal spell. If you're low on removal, you can pick this and put in your deck. You would prefer other things, but you would prefer to have this over nothing.
Or take it to the sideboard. Opponent has got a really bad bomb.
Like, do not put this in other decks, but the Silver Quill decks that are aggressive do legitimately want, like, kill a big blocker, trigger Repartee for cheap.
Okay, so now we've talked about why and when. So the question is how do you splash? Because if you're playing 2 drops that are black, white, right? How do you splash?
I think you need a lot of the lands.
You need a lot of lands. I would generally, it's a very, very high bar.
I splashed like Lordhold the Historian, like a Terramorphic, Field of Strife, the Boros lands in a Potioner's Trove. That went like 1/1 on a single.
How do we feel about Trove in this deck?
I don't like Trove in this kind of deck.
I don't like Trove. The deck had a lot of removal. It was a little bigger, so.
Yeah, if you're more on the Cost of Brilliance plan, the Trove gets better.
The Trove was fine. I've also played Trove in a this was a really weird deck. I don't think you should be like looking to do it. It like also went 1/1 or maybe 0/1, but probably like I think it was a good deck. I had like 2 Hop Tuits and a Potioner's Trove and a Diary of Dreams and a lot of removal. And it was pretty good. Like I had a Social Snub. And like if I had seen a second, if there had been another one in the draft, I probably would have played it and like gotten it for free. And I'm not saying that's the space you want to be in, but I think the deck was good.
Might be a way to use Social Stunt if you get 2 of them for free and some Hop Tuits or whatever.
I'm curious about Graduation Day, if anyone has good or bad experiences with that.
Stats are stinky. The stats are stinky. I think
it plays worse than it reads.
Yeah.
I think it might be better in Boros aggro than Silver Quill aggro, if anything.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things that target twice for 1 card. Like Dual Tactics is 2 Graduation Day triggers, whereas this, there's not as many.
I also think like if you're playing something cheap, it needs to be a creature in this deck.
Yeah, you really don't have that much space for things that aren't creatures and Repartee triggers, because it's kind of an A plus B deck, except like your A's and B's are just also good cards, but like you really benefit from having everything be those.
Just before I forget, like because I feel like I will forget, the Searing Hunter Menser, the signpost in common, the Rhino basically. That card has felt a bit weird in this shell, but it's a card I have quite liked as a splash in other shells, because it's like yes, it's a bit high on the curve, but in a, let's say, a lower hole, like a bit wider. This just is a from your 3 sometimes. Like most of the time 3, if not sometimes even 4.
I think I would put this card in any deck that can cast it, but I wouldn't be extremely excited to in like a much more aggressive, assertive Silver Quill deck.
Yeah.
I have cut this from a more assertive Silver Quill deck before. I think it's like it's not fully on plan, but it's a powerful card. But it also costs 5, so sometimes if your deck is too focused for it, you don't play it. Like there are times where this is worse than Cost of Brilliance.
What do we think of Masterful Flourish, the 1 black combat trick? Worth having, like as a 1-up, or are we low on it?
The single black that gets +1/+1 indestructible.
Yeah.
It's a solid combat trick, but it's a little tricky to have cards that trigger repartee as a combat trick, don't draw a card, don't come with a body. You just end up being squeezed on those slots a lot. So you can play it. It's fine. I kind of like it better in black-green with like the 4/2 trample and stuff. It's playable, totally playable, especially if it like bombs to protect, but not great.
I think it's totally fine as like a 22nd, 23rd card in your deck, but like if you have playables, I would.
Yeah, how I would put it is Silver Quill is not a tricks deck. It is a like play your creatures that are somewhat evasive and hit for like a decent amount and often grow, and then just remove your opponent's blockers kind of deck, or like tap them down, or like it's just not as much a tricks deck. You're not trying to let your opponent block.
Yeah.
Generally.
In fact, you are trying to not let them block.
Which is why Elite Interceptor, Rapier Wit are generally stronger in Silver Quill.
This deck really wants to kill into confidence.
Yes, that card is a banger. Good call out.
Killian's Confidence.
That card is like competitive card flow over the course of a long grindy game against a more like slow deck on its own, because they can't let you hit them with creatures every time you do, you draw a card. So
while giving you repartee triggers.
Exactly. So, yeah, it's very, very good. Pick it extremely highly. It's like really important to making the more assertive version of the deck work.
Yeah, I was watching one of these drafts with this. I don't know what the opponent. I mean, opponents are fine, but they were just using bounce spells. It just made it so awkward. Yeah, great card.
I think Honor Bound Page, the 4-mana 2/2 first strike, is something you can put in this deck because it is a creature and triggers repartee. It's been kind of scary.
Both that and the Hungry Eater, or whatever it's called, Adventurous Eater. Like, these cards are not high rate, so you kind of don't want to end up playing them, but they play the role of like hybridizing your slots if you're struggling to fill repartee triggers and enough creatures. So they can be really valuable for the deck. They're like more playable than they might seem. It's good to pick a couple up just to like make the numbers work at the end of your deck if you need to.
They're a lot worse than Elite Interceptor, but they fill a similar spot.
Interceptor's great because it's just a good rate card that does that.
Yeah. Just wanted to echo, like, related to the thing that Maura said of just having a density. These are not premium, but good. And I think of that general space, I have also been pretty impressed with Page as like my top end, right? Being able, if I am like the deck that philosophically would like to be 16 lands, this is like my turn 5 play of like, okay, I play this, I jump this guy, trigger all of my things. You can't block this particular creature. Maybe this Inkling mascot is also unblockable. You were at 8. I'm attacking for 6 flying. You cannot deal with this.
Yeah,
you will die.
Totally. That's a great like top end for the assertive deck that you can scrape together with late picks. What was I gonna say? Someone else. Yeah.
I think it's worth like discussing. I guess I'm not really sure on skipping Page, but there are the 2 signpost uncommons between the Page and Abigail, which especially Abigail for me has underperformed. I don't have a ton of info on Snooping Page itself.
How do you feel about 3 signpost uncommons with social stuff as well?
Best not to play social stuff.
Yeah.
I've had some experience with Abigail. It was fine. It turns kind of all of your creatures into sort of Elite Interceptor, which is nice, but not really.
So I would, the way I would put it is the uncommons besides social snub are totally playable in the deck, not important to making it work.
And not like a reason to go into the deck.
Yes, agreed.
Except for Scolding Administrator.
That one is A++ crucial. You must have them.
I would also say Killian's Confidence.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I meant, sorry, I guess I shouldn't say the uncommons. There's so many multiple
draw
uncommons. Yeah, Abigail and the Snooping Page is what I was talking about specifically. And I guess the rocks, the 5-drop, similar.
Also, your 3-drop slot is like already pretty gummed up. Like the 3/3 vigilances are like all perfectly playable, acceptable. Like I'm happy to.
Yeah.
I'm content to play them.
Yeah.
So I don't value Snooping Page as highly because even though it's a better card, the opportunity cost is a lot higher to run.
Yeah.
Echoing on something that both Ryan has brought up and Mora's excellent writing.
Everyone read it if you haven't.
Yes.
It's really good.
And related to this, like we do have a lot of completely fine 2s, completely fine 3s, and so as a result, prioritizing 2s kind of becomes much more important because that allows us to double spell much earlier and much more efficiently. If we have like 10 3s, we're probably not doing very well.
Have we mentioned that you need 2-drops? You need 2-drops.
Yeah. You need
2
the
drops.
really good 2-drops too.
Yes, you need those absolutely, and then you will play as many as you can of the other ones if you don't have those.
Yeah. I would say the good 2-drops are like Scolding Administrator, Inkling Mascot, Quillblade Laureate, Lecturing Scorn Mage, Elite Interceptor, and maybe Melancholic Poet a little bit.
I would say
not
that
really.
one's very average. You'll play it, but you don't count it as like this card's making my deck a lot better.
Yeah, and then like Shattered Acolyte and the Stone Docent are just like reasonable generic stats 2-drops, and there's a bunch of like other synergy 2-drops that are not maximized here, like Ennis or what was that one? Leech Collector. So if you have a bunch of Melancholic Poets, the Leech Collector goes up a little.
Maybe this is too card specific, so feel free to cut off.
This, for what it's worth, this meeting is when we can get pretty card specific. So that's good.
And then I guess as a general like length of time kind of thing, I don't want to drag on too long. How long are we generally?
We're about wrapping up ish for Silver Quill. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, one is that I would like to shout out Leech Collector a little bit. It's not on plan normally, especially because its spell doesn't trigger repartee, which is very annoying. But there are certain structures of decks that do just enable it very well, right? Like you can imagine having a deck with like 2 Poets, 1 Shattered Acolyte, 2 Ink-Shaped Demonstrators, and there just is a decent amount of life gain, and so that being burned to close out at the very end of the game, very good. The other one is Mage Tower Referee with Killian's Confidence is pretty nice.
All right, I forgot about Mage Tower Referee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Which card is that?
That's the 2/1 artifact that grows when you cast multicolored spells. This is just a good 2-drop whenever you have a good density of multicolored spells, especially repeal ones like Confidence.
Arguably better in good decks, which is a little bit awkward.
Yeah.
Question makes Abigail better.
How many cards is a good density of multicolored cards for Mage Tower?
I think that once you have like 6 multicolored cards, I'm like pretty happy to play it. Once you have like 8, I'm like very happy. Like it's actively a very strong 2-drop, I think.
And then like 10 plus, it's like really good. Yeah.
Yeah, and especially with like Lewin or Killian's Confidence or yeah.
Yeah. It really does. It does.
You need to be casting a lot of creatures, which assumes that you have a bunch of gas.
Yeah, play a bunch of Inkling mascots. It's double synergy.
Anyways, shall we move on to the next college?
Yes.
Sam wanted to do
Yes,
Witherbloom first.
yes.
So.
Okay.
Cool.
The next college will be Witherbloom.
I want to shout out Render Speechless is one of the.
Oh right, we didn't actually do that. That's good. Yeah.
I want to talk about Render Speechless. This is like probably the best non-creature common in the stack. Maybe the best common.
So is it competes with Cost of Brilliance and Dig Site?
Yeah. But this card is great to have in your deck. It's good to board into against a lot of like slightly more controlling or like Potioner's Trove reliant decks that are.
I would say be willing to board it out.
Yeah,
if there's
agree.
a lot of removal or you're not confident that you'll be on the front foot. I think this is a card that is really good if you're in Silver Quill and you have all the cheap creatures. I think you're hoping to get it a little bit for free in the draft, I would say.
Are you? I feel like people are aware that it's really strong.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's been this.
Sorry.
This is a 4-mana Thoughtseize.
But like, yeah, so it is really strong, but it's not playable in other decks. I think is
Yes,
more right.
that's kind of the thing I'm saying. This is your reward for being in the Silver
Yeah,
Quill
it's
Sea.
not
Okay.
that other people won't be like, this is a really strong card in the package. They'll be like, well, I'm not taking it. 'Cause
I mean, don't assume it will wheel, but like, yeah, don't assume any card will wheel ever is one thing I was saying.
And mostly, I mean, like, especially in pack 1, like, if you pass this, it's never coming back. People will speculate on it. But yeah, I also think of this more as a start with all of them in, right? Well, maybe not with the fourth
agree.
one, but like I imagine I'm more often boarding them out than having them in sideboard, boarding them in.
But I would just say, like, having the cheap creatures that you can use with this is much more important than having this.
Yes. I think this is like a more general thing, and this probably can be the last word on Silverquill. I like to start white for this and also Lorehold, because I think a lot of the more premium creatures are white. The black creatures are just like not as good.
Except for Storm Mage.
Yes. But you're staring at like Quillblade Laureate, Shattered Acolyte, the 4-drop Ink-Shape Demonstrator. Like these are all white cards.
Elite Interceptor.
Interceptor. I would prefer to start white, especially because the white aggro core can either lead you into Silverquill or Lorehold, than start black.
If you start with black removal, maybe you move in this direction also because Witherbloom is stinky a little bit sometimes. So yeah, that's another way to get into. All right.
Okay, Stinky Witherbloom time. Sam?
Yes, I am here to be stinky. So I think Witherbloom.
I'll pull out the right card. Where is it?
It's a 3-drop.
Yeah, I'm looking for it. There it is.
Thank you. So I've had a success, like, so Witherbloom is it looks like it's very self-contained and doesn't cross well into the other color pairs very well and needs to be like wide open to work. And I think that is true for certain builds of this deck, but I had a run of drafts where I ended up in this build a couple times in a row where I was in black-green, but clearly the second black-green drafter at the table. And the other drafter was picking up, like taking the Bloomerettes, the past mascots, all of the life gain synergy cards. And I was just kind of building Silverquill, but in green. So like sort of definitionally, I was like how I had that message earlier about if you're Silverquill, you're kind of either dig site inventory or Cost of Brilliance.
Okay.
And I was kind of
there's a lot of coming out. Sorry. Do we know if this happening before?
I think it might be the like projection to the TV with the sound. Like it's putting the sound in the TV, and that might like take some translation time, so it might be unavoidable.
Okay. Is it?
We can maybe try to like figure out the settings to. Yeah, but if we're projecting, I think it's automatically doing that. We'd have to figure out how to change the settings.
I think it'll be fine for now if it doesn't get worse, but I just wanted to bring it up. Anyway, sorry, Sam. Keep going.
You're good. So I was just kind of building it like a Cost of Brilliance sort of like mid-range black-green deck that was kind of ignoring the life gain synergies. Like I just got like some cards because you do have life gain stuff. So for that deck, I was pretty interested in Melancholic Poet, really interested in Leech Collector as a pretty good 2-drop for this deck.
And someone else joined the call on their phone. We'll mute the TV.
I can join on my laptop.
Whatever works.
Probably
And then we'll mute the TV. I have it here.
Yeah, give me a second.
Yeah, this we'll need to mute on here briefly.
Yeah.
Let me mic on my end.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Try saying something, Sam.
Are we good now? How does this sound?
Yeah.
Yes, that's a lot better.
Okay.
Thank you. Sorry
Cool.
about that.
Yeah, no problem. I'll back up. So basically, like I got into black green based on black rares and green rares. I think one of them I had Moseo and the Cauldron. The other deck I just had like Germination Practicum with a bunch of like black removal. And I was clearly the second Witherbloom drafter at the table, which I think is most people would say like that's not where you want to be. And I would agree most of the time, but sometimes like the cards you open just push you in that direction. And I think that the big thing that I figured out was sort of you can be the second Witherbloom drafter at the table if you build in a way that can ignore like the Bogwater Lumerette Pest Mascot A+B life gain synergies, which I think is mostly building the deck like you are Silver Quill, but with green cards instead of black cards, which I think is like a little bit niche, but like all of the stuff of like the Poet, the Melancholic Poet is a pretty good 2-drop. Leech Collector is a pretty good 2-drop. Shopkeeper's Bane is a really, really good target for Cost of Brilliance because it pulls it out of range of like there's not very many 3-power 2-drops in the format. It's just Docent, and it also pulls it out of range of Tome Blast, which is pretty important. So I was just building like this Witherbloom proactive mid-range deck that was actually like overperforming my expectations, and like I don't think you should try hard to be in this space. And I also think that like if you are the only black-green drafter at the table and you are getting the Bogwater Lumerettes, that is like permission to lean in harder to the life gain theme. But I think that you don't want to build your Witherbloom deck like you are expecting to get Bogwater Lumerettes, because if you do that and they don't come, or if you do that and your deck is like too reliant on them and you just like don't draw them, that's why the archetype is performing so poorly, is because it's so dependent on the pieces coming together. And I think you want to establish like a better, just like cohesive game plan without the life gain synergies, and then like have that as like a package or like a pocket of synergy in your deck rather than the other way around.
I would even go as far as to say I'm not sure that the Bogwater Lumerette deck is better than drafting Silver Quill as like a limited fundamentals, I'm going to have solid great creatures and removal and card flow deck. I've had some pretty insane looking Witherbloom life gain synergy decks where you play the Lumerette, then you play the Pest Mascot, the Pest Mascot gets killed, and then you're looking at this 2/2 that isn't relevant in combat, that's gaining you a little bit of life, and your opponent is just like outcarding you in the game. I think you have to be really careful, even if it looks like you have the entire life gain package all put together. It's like that is still fragile and A+B in a way that can be really easily disrupted. So I'd be careful.
It's also like you can build a deck where you have Bogwater Lumerette Pest Mascot, but like that is not definitionally a game plan. Like that is not like a macro archetype that you're building. That is like a synergy, but that doesn't define what your deck is actually doing, like what turn it wants to win on, like if you're the beatdown in certain matchups. So I think you need to nail down those details first and decide how much you are able to lean into that sort of thing based on the cards that are available to you. And I also think that this deck has really good rares. I think like maybe not better than the other color pairs, but there are a lot of really good rares that make this deck insane. Like Moseo, the Professor, the Cauldron is really crazy and like slightly warps how you actually build your deck. So I think this is like worth knowing how to do when you do end up there. And I think also like pretty good on commons with like Essence Scholar is just like a very, very strong card as well.
Yeah. The way I look at Witherbloom is that there are 3 different decks in Witherbloom. There are maybe 4 if you count like your base green splashing, but I don't count that as Witherbloom. There are the A+B life gain decks, which are a little like, which are finicky, hard to build, and kind of mediocre unless you really, really get like a very good version of them. In which case, then they can be good, but still, again, like they're just kind of finicky. Like we've been saying, like Pest Mascot is not like your opponent can just kill your Pest Mascot. Right? You have to have a plan for that. Like you can, if you have a lot of high rate cards, that's good. But that bridges into the next kind of Witherbloom deck, which is just I'm playing good cards. Witherbloom things like Pest Brood Sloth is just a good card. Additive Evolution is just a good card. You have a lot of good removal with like Grapple with Death and stuff. We've talked about how like Essence Knit Scholar is a good card. Lewin can be a good card, and if you like are getting to the late game.
Bogwater Lumerette, not just a good card.
Yeah, it's like a fine card. It's an okay. It's kind of like Shadow Deck Light, more different Shadow Deck Light.
Yeah,
Unless you're doing
I think I like the Lumerette specifically a little more than each of you, but I don't like Pest Mascot Old Growth Educator, for example. Like
Old Growth is the Vigilance 4/4, right?
Yeah.
I think that is just a little bit of a good card. You don't want to go out of your way to enable it, but it's just a good body, right?
It's a fine body.
Okay.
I think it's fine.
It's a lot worse than Sloth as a 4/4.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, so those are the first two kinds of Golgari decks or Witherbloom decks. Like the good cards pile often also includes rares.
One way to think of it is draft Golgari, not Witherbloom.
Yeah. The third kind of Witherbloom deck is Essence, is like Cauldron of Essence or whatever it's called, the Cauldron deck. But that is a distinct deck.
And how do you draft that deck?
I can talk about that more in the rares meeting, or I could talk about it here.
I think here's probably good.
It's mostly just like click on things that like that like pressure your opponent's life total without like necessarily like focusing too much on attacking, and things that go well with the Cauldron, like Pest Brute, Sloth, Lewin, Send in the Pest to some extent, Assistant Scholar. It overlaps a little bit with like the good cards pile because a lot of the good cards work well with Cauldron too. Shocker, getting back a good card, a good creature repeatedly is good. But like specifically also things like a Sneering Shade Rider go up because like it's Teacher's Pest, January mentioned.
A big thing with Cauldron is you need to start having a creature. And if you have a creature, it's really, really good. So Teacher's Pest is you always have a creature to start with.
I also value Stargaze higher in that space because it digs for your Cauldron.
Sorry.
That
was my
draft the Cauldron deck twice. Teacher's Pest is really good. Anything that makes Pest is really good. The 3-mana uncommon that does -4/-4 for gain life is very good.
It's just always on.
It's just always on.
Yep.
That's about it.
Yeah. Great to recur, obviously, with Cauldron. You said there were 4 decks, or the fourth is
arguably not Witherbloom is just like
I will say though, you can absolutely, we'll talk about soup more later, but you can absolutely be base black green soup. There's enough tools there. You have removal, you have green for fixing.
I have so many questions about the card Root Manipulation. Actually, I have one. Is it good?
The overrun this is?
Yeah, the 5
Yes.
mana
I think it is actually really crucial if you end up with a more assertive, like, black-green deck that needs ways to close the game. Menace is huge. If you're building wide boards but struggle to, like, finish your opponent off, if you have, like, 2 of these, it can be your end game plan.
Yeah,
and I think that can be really important.
I find Witherbloom gets in board stalls a lot, and because you have the Loomer, you're gaining life, so you're kind of just, like, sitting there a lot of the time. And that can stand.
You can get 8 triggers for your Pest. A free drop, just go boom.
Yeah. But also just like a lot of overruns are like good in board stalls, but your opponent can kind of survive them. This, you're like, I'm happy both of us are widening out our board evenly. That just every time that happens, it's more damage for me.
So Tom's point kind of gets at the heart of my question, which is like, do you need to be doing the like Lumerette Pest Mascot life game?
No,
not at all.
It does, but note that it does all of you creatures roll your thing really big.
Yeah.
Root Manipulation makes your Pest Mascots better, but you do not need Pest Mascots to play Root Manipulation.
Yeah.
To echo on that, like, we can also talk about this in the rares meeting, but Comforting Counsel is worse than this, significantly.
They're funny together.
They're hilarious together. But I would certainly want 2 Root Manip.
Council is interesting, and we should talk about it later because it's hard to evaluate. Yeah.
Any other comments on Golgari?
I would reiterate that I don't gun for this deck. Like if black is open, don't just like arbitrarily choose it. But like if you see a reason to go after it, I think it is fine to great.
Is the like Mind Rot land like if they discard a land you put it into play, is that playable in any versions of these decks?
Mind Roots?
I think it's playable in soup. but not exciting.
I've sided against soup.
Yeah.
I've liked it in soup.
But like, don't go out of your way. You'll end up with one of them, and it's usually not great, even if it's fine. But what else? Yeah, okay, tricks. How do we feel about tricks in the more like stompy version of this deck? Sam, if you want to speak to Claire, how to.
I've actually liked removal significantly more than I've liked tricks in this type of deck, which usually is not how I feel. Yeah. But I think that like the green punch spells are extremely good here. Stuff that works at instant speed. I don't think the tricks are very good in this format. Like, it's basically just giant growth and royal treatment. I think you can play the 1-drop black one with shop if you have specifically a bunch of shopkeeper's veins. But I've mostly been wanting to control the battlefield with kill spells.
How do you feel about Lumeret's Favor?
I have not cast it yet, but I could see it working. I kind of like, because this deck needs a lot of creatures and usually wants 2 copies of Cost of Brilliance, I have not felt like I've had room to have a bunch of combat tricks because I've really wanted 6 kill spells, if possible. Yeah. So if you come up short of this number, I think if you come up short of the removal number, you can start playing tricks. But I've generally been much happier to have removal, and I think like part of the reason you would end up in this deck is, like, in my experience, is you start just like getting deep into black for good removal early, and this is what's open.
I wanted to speak to I have a macro point after this, but on Lumeret's Favor, the first time I ever read the card, I was like, you're never losing combat with this. It was in the same pack as the Shopkeeper's Bane, and like, what the hell? So I think the problem is that because you're attacking, and if you don't have Cost of Brilliance, then you are on a lower resource game plan. And then if you don't have the specific card to pair with it, then +2/+4 is not great, right? So I think it's because specifically you tend to be lower on resources that the trick is not as good.
Yeah, I have generally found that, like, I was high on this at the very start too, and I got like really blown out by it in like one of our first house drafts, like online. And then I became a lot lower once I realized that like in this format, winning 1 combat does not like win you the game like at all.
And the macro comment is that Witherbloom sucks so hard because your cards want you to chump attack. That's how I found that. That's like something I've been wrangling with. You want to chump attack, and you want to be rewarded for chump attacking.
That's like over-reliance on the life gain synergy.
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah. May was also...
It's like a weird thing where like Lumeret's Favor is like a good attacking trick, but it seems like to be a bad defending trick, whereas like the black 1 mana indestructible one is like kind of a medium version of both worlds, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah, I had a 2-0 black-green deck like this morning. I played a Lumeret's Favor because I had 2 Bogwater Lumerets, but it was honestly more like a stompy deck that like I had no pest mascots, for example, and like Lumeret's Favor won me like a really important combat where I killed 2 3/3 flyers because they blocked a pest each. So like, and I was a bit low on removal in that deck as well. So I just like kind of threw it in there. I like the card is whatever, even though it like blew my
You're allowed to play it. Yeah. If you think it's right, you can put it in your deck. Yeah. I do think the biggest thing that was said about the combat tricks is you basically want all of your spell slots to either be removal or card flow. So it's really hard to fit tricks. And I think this is true for like basically every deck in this format. Your spells are mostly going to be removal and card flow. And so it's hard to fit things that aren't those.
I have a question. The one in the green, can't remember what it's called, but it's like anticipated, like land or a creature.
Follow the Lumerets.
Do we like this card?
It is not card flow enough, and it's not removal. So
it doesn't find your removal.
Yeah. The issue is like it's not really guaranteed to find 2 creatures, and even if it does, you like what you did something to trigger life gain, then you cast it to find 2 creatures. You've created a slightly better divination with your synergy, and then those creatures have to be like impactful later in the game once you cast this. Yeah, I think it's just not that good. If you have bombs to dig for, maybe,
I found Zamones to be quite bad, so this is just like a second version of Zamones, but it's also quite bad.
Do work to make it bad.
I don't even think it's a better divination because you can draw removal with divination.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like again, if you have creature bombs, sure.
Yeah.
If you're looking for your cauldron, no. Shall we move on? I think we should maybe skip. Okay, I have a question. Does anyone have opinions on just playing straight up Quandrix? No like splash, just straight up Quandrix.
I have opinions.
Okay.
I guess let's talk about straight Quandrix and save the soup for later. But
Yeah.
let's
We can reheat the soup
briefly. Yeah. Okay. Sophie, do you want to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's one straight Quandrix deck. It is you gotta be stompy. This is not an excellent plan because a lot of the creatures when they enter are like under rate because of the whole increment mechanic thing. Also, you're going to be competing with suit players for cards. It's rough. Also, the removals are not very good.
Yeah, some of your best removal spells is relying on the green frog and a punch spell.
Yes.
So I noticed. I know that it's just like stun, and that's not the best answer. I found the fight spells to be pretty underwhelming as well. Especially since they're overcosted versions of the punch effect, and punch is better than fight. Typically.
Agreed. Yeah, procrastinate is one of the ways you can have like pretty real removal in this more stompy deck. Sorry, I'm going to be much slower than Jason at dragging things out.
Additive evolution is one of the most important cards here.
Yes, 100%. This you have to have like a copy of this to really be able to like close games, I think.
Yeah, knockout blows probably the best removal spell or knockout maneuver, but it's also overshoot uncommon. So.
Yeah.
I think knockout maneuver has been like kind of awkward for me.
Oh yeah.
At times. Yeah.
I will say
shout out to all the Frascal mascots in the chat.
Yes.
The dragon.
It's a matter like pairs are
yeah.
And you and vice versa. In Quandrix earlier this morning, even. Also, similar to you, Tom, like trying to draft soup and then just not being in that lane, and I'm left with green and blue cards. I actually think that, and maybe this is a hot take, it's bad, but not in like a deeply unplayable way.
It doesn't take very many things to win a game of Limited.
I actually think that the 3-drop that gives your counter creatures trample is really important. Procrastinate is incredibly important to me if I'm locked in this. And then what's it called? I do really value Fractal Mascot as well. Like you just have to like in the most brain dead way possible for the math college. There actually is like actual merit to curving out.
Yes.
Like the 2-drop with increment, like the stupid fucking flyer.
Cuboid
column? Yeah.
The
bees!
Into a 3-drop with like the 3-drop trampler guy, into a giraffe, into another increment. Like it's like that is actually potent and will catch people off guard.
Oh yeah. This reminds me, notable card that I do think is like actually good. That I think the stats are not as good on because of how bad this is generally, but I think the card itself is quite good. Is Quandrix Charm. I think Quandrix Charm does a lot.
I agree.
I think you're frequently going to be able to catch people out with Quench, and also you're frequently going to be able to use it as a combat trick.
The trick mode is very potent with fractals specifically.
Yeah.
Yep.
+5/+5.
I will also say, I think shout out to Thornfist Striker in the sense that if you pair it with a couple Terrafractals, that can actually do a lot of work. Terrafractal is a card that you don't want too many of.
6? 7?
I was playing 6 in that deck and drew 5 against Haven's Conciliator's Duelist. It was a time. Yeah, I will cast Terrafractal to gain 2 life. 4. 4. They come back. But I think like it's pretty below rate when you cast it for low amounts of mana. Like you're very sad if you cast it as a 3-drop, although you will sometimes if you're like, I can tell this is going to become a race and I need to spend my 3 on something that will help in the race. But at higher amounts of mana, it starts to get like fair for its cost. So put 6 mana into it, it becomes a 5/4 flyer that will close a game pretty quick. So
it is a curve topper.
Yes, exactly. It is a pretty good curve topper. I would not include it as like a 3-drop really when you're considering your curve, but it's nice to have the flexibility.
Fractal Mascot has also been very good as a curve topper.
Yes.
I was going to say, specifically, Proctor's Gaze into Fractal Mascot has been really successful. Just bounce there, whatever. Like
Yeah. Cards that are a little bit traps and not necessarily worth going for. Like you might put these in your deck, but you should not consider them premium. Fractal Tender and Tam. Tam reads like an incredible mythic uncommon card. It is not that. It does not block very well. It's actually pretty clunky. You need to like play it, have it survive, play a land, spend 2 mana, and you've drawn 1 card. And all of that doesn't really compete with the more soupy decks that are just like, you know, really flowing through their entire deck and casting a bunch of removal. If this matters, they'll remove it.
I think you have to readjust if you are thinking of that card from Dominaria.
It's not Tatyova.
It is not Tatyova. Yes, spending 2 mana to draw a card is very different from just drawing a card.
And it's also very different from Tireless Tracker.
Yes.
Because you can't bank the clues and it doesn't grow.
Yes. Fractal Tender kind of similarly like can do really powerful things, but is pretty bad the turn it comes down and requires, I think, like ramping into it is probably somewhat important, or having flexible X spells that you can use to trigger it.
Or having additive evolutions to trigger without triggering it.
Yeah, ways to trigger it without spending like 4 or 5 mana.
Or Wild Growth Arcade.
Yeah. And even then, like it's not doing anything that's going to win you a game on its own most of the time. It'll be really meaningful value, but this may be even a little bit worse than Tam. Like there are decks that I would cut it from pretty easily. Embrace the Paradox. You should probably just straight up play this in your more straightforward Quandrix decks. I think it's just good enough rate to do that, but it's not amazing. I think it's much, much better if you're like big soup with a lot of removal.
Quick question. Comment is Paradox Surveyor, obviously like at its best in soupy decks, but like a very serviceable body that draws you a card. Very playable.
Very, very playable. Especially
Very
if you're straight Quandrix, you'll probably have a good amount of like X spells with Procrastinate and Terrafractal, and it can draw you like a real action card a lot of the time.
It's a big environmental scientist.
Exactly. Yeah.
Question is Run Behind. This is one that I like. Theoretically, I feel like you should prioritize this if you're in this deck, just because you don't have much hard removal. But like, is the card good in this deck? Have people played with it?
I would definitely be playing it in almost every Quandrix deck, but I think you want the big creatures before you want this.
I would say Run Behind is always aggressively okay, and like, but it's also a slot that it's a removal spell which fits into a slot that you often like need to fill for your deck.
Yeah.
Valerie? I think my evaluation on Run Behind in straight blue-green, where we want to try to build it more stompy style, the discount tends not to be that real. And so, and even then, if it's paying 3, like low-key, I think I would prefer the 2 mana bounce over this. So it's just like, it is a removal spell we can play, but I think it is not one of the better ones for the deck.
Yep.
I just wanted to say on him, their late game card advantage card flow, like you want to have some number in that slot. That card does something very special, which is it's better the more of them there are, as opposed to the opposite.
To an extent. I mean, there's diminishing returns to having a do nothing.
You don't want 6.
But
Yeah.
unlike, like I don't want 4 divinations in my deck ever. Like the second divination is already a lot.
Yeah.
It's like this is a card where I have 3, and I'm like, hell
Yeah,
yeah.
you're going huge basically. Yeah. Although you do need removal a lot, so it is meaningfully better. in
Or
soup.
bounce spell.
Yeah.
This we'll talk about it more in soup, I'm sure. But like this is related to the like 3-for-1s are so much better than 2-for-1s.
Yep. Yes. They are twice as
they are
card
twice
advantage as 2-for-1s.
They're twice as efficient in deck slots.
Is there a straight up Quandrix 2-color ramp deck? Or if you are ramping in Quandrix, are you just kind of inherently looking to soup?
Well, okay, so I will say that if you're ramping, you are there are a bunch of like ramp spells that you can play in Quandrix, like literally things that add more mana, right? Between like the Newts, the Shared Roots, the Potioner's Trove, first year, Zimone's Experiment, if you're into that. Proctor's, shout out to all the Proctor's Gaze in the chat. But I would say that if you're ramping, you can either leverage that towards a more soupy roll by like having that ramp fix you and give you more mana to cast card draw and removal with, or like if you're just straight Quandrix, like that still pretty nicely dovetails into some of the stompy stuff, because like notably one of the best stompy tools, like some of the best stompy tools you have are like the Fractal Mascot at 6 and Pterrafractal at however much.
So I've been pulling out some cards that are like just fine, but play well in the stompy space, I think, a little bit. So you'll kind of notice that like premium 2-drops are pretty like rare. Obviously, in most colors they are, but Newt and Cuboid Colony are, I think, the premium 2-drops for Quandrix specifically.
Shoutouts to my boy Mage Tower Referee sometimes.
Yes,
sometimes.
Especially given that in this deck, you're kind of in this deck because you specifically are getting all the blue-green gold cards. Referee can be really strong. Mindful Biomancer can be like stats-wise worth it in like a combat situation later in the game, although you tend to have a lot of ways to spend your mana, so like Tester of the Tangential can scale really well. It's kind of just a strong card.
Forgotten.
Chase Inspiration to save your larger creatures.
Good stompy card.
Yes, good stompy card, especially because everyone in this format is playing like at least 4 removal spells, if not more, most more. Textbook Tabulator gets really big. This card is kind of an investment in a big body that will either stall the ground or really start attacking and be very hard to block later in the game. If you need stats, put this card in your deck. But
defensive speed.
Yeah, well, it's like it's investment in late game walling, I guess is how I would put it.
That is a better way to phrase it, yes.
Yeah, because it doesn't protect you really as much the turn it comes down, but it quickly starts to protect you pretty well.
Yeah.
This card, I think, is not great overall, but if you have a lot of the big green creature stuff, like, I don't know, Pest Brood Sloth, I'm about to talk about the Mana Worm, that kind of stuff, this can become pretty good in certain situations, and I would put it in my deck. Okay.
Specific note, I'm sure most of us have already seen it themselves, but Aviator can double jump, in which you cast it, at some point you attack once, prep it, don't cast it, then when you untap, you jump 1, go to combat, attack, re-prep, jump something else before they can block.
Yep, can get you 2 spell triggers, 2 flyers.
Yes.
Can really attack for a bunch of damage in a single turn.
What I'm hearing is that Aviator is canonically trans.
These 4-drops are both like medium. I think Mana Worm is like meaningfully better because it's just, I think, better on rate. But play these in your stompier decks, I think, especially if you have like some Embrace the Paradoxes or, more expensive spells like that. Mana Worm can attack for a bunch. It's worth playing with like Homesickness, Embrace, etc.
Very hard to block.
Yeah, Haven in the main.
Topiary thingy, the 3-drop
Lecture.
increment.
Oh, that card's not very good.
Are we sure?
I don't know. I'm asking.
I'm skeptical.
Let's see. Green uncommons. Topiary Lecture. I see a kind of underperformed for me from NK.
Yes.
Not very many other comments. Let's consult the 17 lands.
May, did you want to make your point while we're looking at it? Yeah.
When does encouraging Aviator to prepare, is that a trigger or is that just like a?
I believe it's a trigger or when it attacks.
Yes.
Okay, because this is Cimarel, if you're trying to get blown up by like a removal spell, like you could theoretically attack,
Yes.
kill the creature when it comes on prepared turn, and then you get to block their thing that they want it to fly.
Good
Yes.
to know about. Yeah.
Topiary Lecture has a 55 game hand win rate with a 3.9 IWD.
Pretty good.
What 55 is not that good. I would say,
Yeah,
for game
but
hand win rate.
the IWD is good because Quandrix is bad. Like it's doing bad in stats, right? So like.
But yeah, 55 is like fun. But I think in particular, like I had
In blue green, its game and hand win rate is 57.5, like straight blue green, with an IWD of 4.9.
Okay.
Yeah,
Does better in straight
I
blue
do
green.
think IWD might be a little bit that people are building too much around this card.
Yes, that's what I was trying to do.
Yeah.
Like I had, these high hopes of like this turn 3, this, and then turn 4, I'm gonna cast like 6 or 7. I'm gonna spend a lot of mana on turn 4.
Of an indeterminate number.
Larger than 4 numbers.
Yes. But that just isn't real.
So-
So I think rather considering it more like a textbook tabulator kind of thing, it is a 3-drop that sometimes has utility, like it can play both ways, and it will eventually get there, is the better way to think about it.
I think that it is legitimately good in Stompy because like I haven't played with it, but against it in like Sealed, my opponent played it and then just like played some large things, and it also grew large, and it's just a mana dork that becomes relevant in the late game, and that's like strong, generically.
Yeah.
Shout out to Tenured Concoctor. Just a strong card to put in any of your green decks. It's got good like statistics on its power and toughness. I don't know about the stats specifically. I assume they're fine. Yeah, Claire.
I have a question about meta banning Mitch. What has everyone's experience been with this card?
This one, I think this card's just really great.
I feel
Like the
it's worse
2/2
than
doesn't.
Man of War usually is.
I agree, it's worse than Manowar usually is. It's also just kind of great. You should still pick it early. I think.
Unblockable text almost never comes up, but it can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are a decent amount of tokens that you can bounce, which is pretty nice. But the 2/2 body matters a lot less than it does in most formats. The unblockable helps that a tiny bit, but not that much.
Put in the blue-green mirror.
yeah, with fractals.
Not also increment creatures.
Yeah. Gaming 17 land stats are decent. Good.
For the concoctor?
No, for the meta vending range.
Oh, it's just
It's good. It's not like premium uncommon. It's good uncommon.
Yeah. One thing more noted in her our write-up was increment creatures kind of are anti-synergistic with each other in that you're playing like 2 underrate things early in the game, which makes it pretty hard to defend yourself. So increment is not like actively synergistic with itself. The increment creatures are mostly just good, but you shouldn't just like jam a bunch of them in a deck because that can have problems.
6 cuboid colonies.
I think she specifically called out Cuboid Colony as the exception. You get 1 trigger and it's a 2/2 flying for 2.
Yep.
Yeah.
The bite or fight spells are probably one of the only ways to get removal, like real get a creature off the board removal in this color. So like prioritize them, I think, pretty highly as long as you're going to have big creatures, which you should be planning on having.
You can splash for removal and still be like stompy.
Yes, you definitely can.
Not great though.
I mean, yeah, I think like splashing for removal in this deck is completely valid, and you probably should do it if you can make it work. I think you're ending up in straight blue-green if like the fixing is really contested and blue-green happens to be open, which is like a slightly weird situation, but it happens. It's happened a good amount.
I really like the black-green deck specifically.
Yes.
The cheapest.
Yep.
And the most unconditional.
Yeah. The red removal, like we'll talk about it because blue-red and blue-green are both really good suit bases and you can kind of mash them together a little bit. But the black removal is better as like, I need removal in my deck.
Of course you want water for your suit base.
Water and trees.
And spice.
And spice.
And
yeah,
heat.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's the cam.
Ham,
Yes.
doing that now. Quandrix.
It reads well. I played it and it's not great.
It's so funky.
Ham.
We were talking about it earlier. It's not great.
Yeah, I just wanted to know if it's better in straight blue.
It's 53 game in hand win rate, 1.9 IWD. Like
Yeah.
positive
Positive
IWD,
but
yeah.
Okay.
See, TAM is when I play when I draft when I already have some Mage Tower referees.
just to make them a little better.
Should we move on to Prismari?
Yes.
You're faster.
Okay.
Can I
Oh,
do
sorry.
One
someone
last
else.
card for this
Yeah.
one, if it's possible.
Yeah.
I actually, I've gotten my butt handed to me by Growth Curve. Actually, I know we haven't talked about Growth Curve because I don't think it should be warranted. Cards are kind of.
Oh, okay. Let me put it this way. I have a one-word answer to your question.
Yeah.
Cheeky.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Sometimes you get someone.
I think actually like really like plays well with both the pterodactyl. The pterodactyl, like the pterodactyl, both 3-drops, the 03 and the 1/2, the lecturer, and the colony. Because all of a sudden it turns your colony into like a 6/6 or something.
Yeah,
on
6/6.
turn 3.
Expensive investor, it draws a card and kills them.
Wait, doesn't it turn it into a 5/5? You get a counter, you get a counter, and then you double it to 4 counters, so it's a 5/5. Yeah.
But even then, I mean, it's
This is a
5/5
classic
aura.
cheeky aura. This is an aura.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Auras are true.
Yeah, like, you-
typically bad and limited. If you happen to face a deck that you think you can't compete with it on stats and doesn't have ways to bounce or remove creatures, or like maybe has a lot of damage-based removal, you can consider this.
Or you could just main deck like 3 Bs and 2 growth curves, 5 hit people with 5/5s.
4 main copies of Chase Inspiration.
I believe Jason said it best about 20 minutes ago. It doesn't take that much to win a game.
That's true.
Sometimes you catch your opponent without any removal spells that kill a 5/5 flyer too.
I do want to just make it really clear though that we are mostly joking. Really, you shouldn't put this card in your deck most of the time.
I'm not mostly joking. I'm completely serious that I this is a cheeky thing you can do.
Would you main deck it?
If I don't have other powerful things to do, sure.
Yeah, then you're in a bad situation.
So if
Yeah.
Well, this is okay. I don't. Okay, I personally, my philosophy on limited is not to view a deck with 3 cuboid colonies and 2 growth curves as one that sucks. Because I avoided my deck sucking by doing that. It has some upside, but anyways, we can move on. Yes, I love having plans.
I show you a run behind.
I side out my growth curves.
I think I win. I don't know.
Game 1, but
Well, no, because now you're in worse position because it doesn't have growth curves.
And I still have run behind a fine removal spell.
Okay, blue red. I don't know if I have super coherent thoughts on blue red.
I would say there are a lot of
Yeah.
ways to build blue red.
Mostly
That is
that.
the main thing about blue red. The cards are just good. You can build aggro. You can build soup. You can build like control, not soup, kind of. You can build combo.
Oh my god.
You can build multiple forms of combo.
We should try
Valerie.
I think I think Prismari is the college most where you can build a whatever your own imagination of soup means is just like a very reasonable blue-red deck in Prismari. Like they don't need to be playing 4-color splash for 5 different things. Like whatever your soup deck wants to be, Prismari can do it in 2-color decks.
Yeah, Prismari just has like all the tools ever to do whatever, kind of.
Which does mean the cards are pretty contested.
Yes.
So it's not really that easy to get into like, I just have access to all of the tools I want. So I think in Prismari, you often have to be like, what am I getting? What can I make with that?
Yeah, you want to be focused about which Prismari deck you're building.
Yes.
Because if you have a third of an aggro deck and a third of a mid-range deck and a third of a soup deck and they're all blue-red cards, it's easy to be like, well, I stayed on color the whole time.
Yeah.
But you weren't really on theme.
I will say, as far as like cards being contested in Prismari color combination, this is a color combination that you don't need really at all. You don't need rares and mythics to have like a really strong deck, especially as compared to some of the other color combinations.
Agreed. Yeah, man.
Can I ask a deranged question?
Always.
I open Resonating Loop in my Pro Tour, pack 1, pick 1. What do I do?
Okay, I have many opinions about this. You open Resonating Loot in your pack 1, pick 1. I take it because I would take Potioner's Trove, and I think it's a little better than Potioner's Trove. Just a little bit.
Treat it like a normal card.
Yeah, it's like... yeah, okay. Potioners, similar to Potioner's Trove, what happens when you cast your Resonating Loot is that suddenly you have more mana and you fixed your colors.
And you can your deck mostly works now. Is like what happens. Yeah. The thing is, you need card flips.
Oh, I've got a loop, now I can play everything.
Yeah. You mostly just build. You take your your loot, your Potioner's loot, and you like build a normal deck about it. Like you take a little more card draw. Maybe you index higher on X spells like diverge. I mean, you already want to take Traumatic Critique and Mathematics.
But if you see either Traumatic Critique or Mathematics, like slam them no matter what else is in the pack, because that is a real game.
Yeah. So I guess you're saying is build a reasonable. You can put this in like a reasonable soupy deck, but don't take like the black-white card that like destroys 5.
You can.
You can.
So how I would put it is, if I had a loot and I was in blue-red, and I was like, I see a Moment of Reckoning, right? And like, okay, I'll take the Moment of Reckoning, as long as I have ways to discard it when I don't have loot. like if I have some Seize the Spoils and some Pursue the Pasts, right?
If I had a couple Potioner's Trove, I would also put Moment in like lots of blue-red decks.
That's a little sketchy. I think Sonar, yes. Potioner's Trove a little less. Yeah.
Sonar is excellent in basically every.
I like how all the other students are like failing, and Sonar is like A+.
Hey, no, I think that the cat's out of the bag and everyone kind of knows Potioner's Trove is really good.
Yes.
And you're not going to see them like you see them sometimes on Magic Online, where it's getting like 6 or 7. They will take second, third, fourth, and you won't see them. So
yeah. Don't build a deck assuming you'll get a Potioner's Trove or 2.
Yeah. So how I put it is, Blu-ray just has so many different tools that do so many different things. Like the red removal is all good. Like just all of it is good.
It will be heavily contested, probably.
Yes, including like some of the best removal, like at common, Tome Blast is one of the best removal spells. Mockery is also very good. Artistic Process is a pretty good card.
And I was gonna say, like, in a color pair where you can build a ton of different spaces, the premium cards are the ones that overlap with every space. That is mostly the removal and stuff like Sonar. So those, I think, you need to really pick up early and then figure out what like random tools you're getting later, and that's your direction. But if you're gonna be Prismaria in your PT draft, I think you need to be aware that like pick up the removal as soon as you can, because it's not really gonna come late.
Yeah. There's a billion different blue card draw spells with like a bunch on the bonus sheet, and also there's like Homesickness and Quick Study. Quick Study is like the worst of the card draw spells, but like still there's like a billion card draw spells. There's some like really late game options like Divergent Equation. Sorry, what'd you say?
Is Quick Study worse than Seize the Spoils?
Oh, I mean, Seize the Spoils is not a card draw spell. It is a like mana fixing spell. Yeah, like it's card flow, but not like card advantage.
Also, keep a mental note your instance and sorcery count for the flow state.
Yeah, to some extent.
You already have one.
Yeah.
I'll pick one. I'm not allowed the option to flow state and something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anticipate is like okay. Sorcery speed, Anticipate kind of mediocre, but Flow State's upside is good if you can enable it. Muse Seeker, it has been a little only okay. The body is like
it's an enchantment.
Weak.
Yeah.
I wish it didn't say. I wish it said May.
That's fair.
That's true.
Yeah.
I wish it didn't tutor Tome Blast onto the top of my phone. May, you're gonna.
We were walking a bit on this discussing the cards. I can bring it up. What do you think about Ping Wrangler?
Which one is that?
That's a 5-drop.
That has the copy prepare.
Yeah, Pibian Wrangler is just like another one of those like weird, powerful in some situations tools that Prismari has that I think is like there's a lot of these I feel like that are just like there are some decks where this is going to be very, very strong.
And also it's keyword large.
Yes, it's also big.
It also has keyword. You gotta kill this, even if I don't have anything in my hand.
It's I think overall mostly good, but there's some decks that really shines in. It's good with Seize the Spoils, I will say, both because the Seize the Spoils helps like make a treasure so that you can pop with it a little more, and because copying a Seize the Spoils is good.
I would say that Pigment Wrangler is a little weird because its data is like really bad. It's like a D overall, and it goes much lower for top players, where it goes into like fully F tier. I think a lot of these weird, powerful things, you have to be really careful not to play too many of them or play them when you don't actually have the things that make them powerful.
Yeah.
Probably better in a scrappier deck, which is going to be a pod draft.
I will say, completely anecdotally, just from my own experience, having drafted this card and put it in the deck, and it feels real hard to cast 4/5 mana because, you want, generally you're trying to be spending your mana to do stuff, and all of your 5 mana, there's so much good 5 mana removal that you would way rather be spending your mana on.
Yeah.
It pairs better with cheap removal, definitely.
Yeah, I think it is not an actively good card. It is a card that you can maybe put in your deck if you don't have a ton of other 5s and you have some stuff that works really well with it. But I think part of the bad data is people trying to build around it, be go huge with it. That's a trap, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
3/3 flyers.
I would not consider the card too much when you put it in your deck and when you build your deck. Put it in your deck if it makes sense to have a 5-drop that does cool things if you on top of it.
Yeah. Prismari also just has some really nice late game tools like Divergent Equation and Zealous Lorecaster. You don't want too many of these, again, similar to Pigment Wrangler, but it can be nice to have 1 or 2 in your deck for going late. The Brush Off is also just has been a nice.
This card's just good. It doesn't look good, but it is just good.
It's Test of Talents.
Basically didn't look at it for most of the drafts I was doing, and then I saw the stats and I was like, I'm just going to put this in my deck, and it was good. Just put it in your deck. It's good.
I also want
board it out though if you don't think it's going to be good.
I highlighted on the left a couple small synergy spaces in Prismari that are less generically good cards kind of things, but Expressive Fire Dancer and Tackle Artist can just be kind of tempo-y, aggressive tools, and there are ways to leverage them with Monstrous Rage and Bulk Up.
So on Brush Off, it didn't really click for me until I saw the stats as well. I think the easier way to look at this is it's a negate, or it's kind of a negate with the option to counter target.
Yeah. And then I think the Prismari Gold Flyers are both pretty reasonable. I think Mascot is better than Whale. My
They're
impression.
just very different. I think
Yeah.
Mascot is mostly about the body. It's just a defensive flyer that will chip in for damage throughout the course of the game. Sky Whale is I'm kind of taking a high risk, cheeky, I'm going for it line. And if you get one trigger on it, it's really good rate. If you don't, and they attack into it and have a trick or remove it or something, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of that. I think kind of philosophically, Mascot fits better in the soupy direction, for lack of a better term, right? Because it blocks pretty well. It doesn't kill their stuff, but it blocks pretty well on 3. You can always be poking for a little bit, and so you can kind of get to a place where you can eventually go over the top.
And it draws cards.
It has vigilance. Don't forget to attack with it.
Yes. Whereas Sky Whale can be massively punished in certain spots. And also, I think, though not always, I think the better way to think about Sky Whale is that it is We Dragonaut slash Slipshot. That's, I think, where it's maximized, where you can apply some early pressure and then put down the Sky Whale with other things on board. So if it dies, you still have a good game plan. And if they don't, you just kill them.
Yeah.
Has anyone tried drafting a more focused, sort of almost prowessy type of?
Yeah, you should talk about this deck. It's a very real deck. I think Expressive Fire Dancer is the most important card to making this deck work.
Tackle
You'll play the
Artist
Frost
also.
Links, Tackle Artist as well. You'll play the Frost Links card, I think, in this deck. It's
Still
not most
okay.
decks, but it's. I think it's actually pretty good here.
You play Ancestral Anger?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. But
giving your Expressive Fire Dancer trample on the turn that's hitting double strike, that costs 6 mana, but like it can be nice.
Funny
They do
thing
that.
that Jason mentioned, Ancestral Anger kind of gets worse in multiples, a little bit. I think this is true.
You-
Put more in your deck.
Yeah, you don't
It's
actually
very
want your deck to be like all Ancestral Angers because you need creatures to target them with, and you need like removals. This is again like
If you have 4 Ancestral Angers, you're playing like 18.5 lands in your deck.
So cut land.
I did buy like the super like aggro prowessy version. I did get Monstrous Rage is a really good
Monstrous
Rage.
Rage.
Did you know about this? Have you heard of it? But also like Sonar, give your Expressive Fire Dancer double strike. Go find Monstrous Rage.
That's is this Manifold Mouse?
I would say for the Prowessy deck, Bone Blast is really nice because it's also reach.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah. I was gonna say 2 things. One, there is the Tackle Artist bulk up one shot kind of thing.
Tenya?
that you do.
It's good drafted if you can
12
get
yeah?
multiples of both.
I actually drafted a prowess deck that had what's it called? I'm gonna start over. I'm gonna start the sentence over. The other day I drafted a prowess deck. I wanted to note that a lot of the blue bonus sheet cards are prowess. Like it's literally sleight of hand and like preordain and like do something like this. I had I also
it's a special guess, right?
I had a
No, it's a rare.
Also on Mystical Archives.
Okay, the rare uncommon split on the bonus sheet is what standard legal except oops we banned Monstrous Rage.
And then it's like between those and then the Diary of Dreams actually came really into play when you're building this like small smoke distance. The average CMC of that deck had to have been like 1.6. And it was good. I shot them all out with Thunderdrum Soloist.
I would, on that note, I would love to talk about Diary of Dreams while we're talking about Prismari.
Yeah.
I know it's universal, but
Definitely more of a home here. Like I think you can build a deck that is very instant and sorcery dense in Prismari in a way you can't totally in the other colors. And there are enough rewards, but you need to really make sure that you have enough rewards because otherwise not putting very many creatures in your limited deck is a very dangerous thing to do.
I've been really impressed by this card.
Would you say that it's more impressive than some other card draw spell like Homesickness?
Differently. I think they do different jobs. I think that I also think I, as a drafter, just naturally have low creature counts always, and that's a problem I'm working on. But I played it a couple of times, multiple times in Soup, multiple times in Just Mario, multiple times in like a Golgari control shell with 8 different 2-drop removal spells, and every single time Diary is anything below 3 mana or 3 mana or less, it's like this is a card that I value playing. Yeah.
So it comes with movement very well.
Tron definitely played 7 mana draw card against me yesterday.
I was happy. Did I?
You won the match. You won the match.
So who's talking?
Shout out to Stadium Title Mage. It's just a large creature that makes sure you have lands and spells in the right proportion. That is good. You should put it in your decks.
Has better numbers in Soup than straight Prismari, but the Prismari numbers are still like decent.
I think that's because Soup sometimes ends up with unplayable cards in his hand. So it just ends up.
The filtering is good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I just say shout outs to Sonar again? This card's so broken.
Sonar's so fucking good in basically every form of Prismari.
A card you haven't grabbed that I want to shout out is Vibrant Outburst. That card
Oh,
is-
yes.
That card's really strong.
Yes. Vibrant Outburst.
Yeah. It's is it Lightning Helix?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
It's yeah.
How do you evaluate P-Charm? Prismari.
It's like
I think
good.
it's quite good. I think the flexibility of being a Banishing Betrayal or a Preordain is just good.
It will always make it better.
Also, what?
Here, I can do it.
Okay. Also, earlier today, I killed 2 X1s with it.
I didn't like that very much.
Does anyone like the 3-mana 2/2 creature? Yeah.
The Frostlinks?
Frostlinks?
No, no, the mana one.
Oh, not really?
I put this in a deck with the red capstone. It was good.
Yeah,
I did that too, and it was not good.
Red Capstone, we're going to talk about. I have opinions on that. card.
There are a bunch of cards in Prismari, mostly red, that are like creatures that kind of make mana, but in a more like fragile way or like one-shot way. There's Hydro Channeler, which is I think the best creature that makes mana. And well, other than Snar's the best, whatever. But Hydro Channeler is a creature that makes mana for your like big spells, and this is probably the best of them. It also fixes it. It's just like a better body. Glasswright and Something Singer, Blazing Fire Singer are 2 others that are like make one-shot mana. Glasswright has the upside of somewhat being a 2-drop, but the 2/2 body is just very unimpactful, but it at least is something to do on 2.
Glasswright also fixes.
Yes, but it fixes, which is a big upside. And Fire Singer makes 2 mana, which might be relevant sometimes, like depending on what exactly you're trying to cast. They're not cards that you're like always wanting to play because the bodies are just so unimpactful. Like they just get outsized so quickly that like the bodies are like the worst they could be, kind of. And even still, sometimes you want to play them if you have like really important big spells to cast. Basically.
If they make parts of your deck work.
Yeah. And I think Paint Mage is another example of that, which is like even worse on the body. Like on the spectrum of how bad the body is, like the Glasswright is like the best body, and arguably even the best effect because the treasure fixes. But if you don't care about the fixing, probably it's worse than the ability of Fire Singer or Paint Mage, but those have like worse bodies. And it's like,
you should really not be trying to put these cards in your deck. I think at the end of the draft, they're like tools if you have powerful stuff that just needs support. I also think, talking about Thunderdrum Soloist, this card is not just generically good if you're a spells deck. I think you need to like really need the 2-drop and a little bit of defensive speed, or be like actively planning on dealing 10 damage with it over the course of a game, and have like multiple of them, and have that be what your deck is built around. Otherwise, it's just you don't play this as like, oh, it says the words and it's a 2-drop with reasonable stats and a keyword. Like this body does not tussle in the format.
I mean, everything's good with Tone Blast.
Yeah.
But
I think Tone Blast is just good.
It makes
with
it
Tone Blast.
Tone Blast into a deal 8 to face.
That's a lot of damage.
It is.
I question that I had. Is Sonar back on pick one of them?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I would pack on pick 1 Sonara for a lot of rares. Sonara might be my favorite uncommon in the set.
Tough fight with Snarl Song for me.
Okay, the fact that Sonara's gold does make it a little tougher, definitely. But
So they can be your favorite and not the one you think is the optimal person.
Reasonable.
Another thing I want to bring up with Prismari: how much do we care specifically about Opus? Like, we're not like going super out of our ways to like put a ton of 5-mana spells in, right?
Storm Sally, you should.
This is relevant because I was going to say I care about it way more in my aggressive decks than in my like slower value decks.
Yes.
Like I don't really if my win the game plan is like mascots and title mages, like if those are my creatures that are attacking and blocking, it's like whatever. But if my plan to win the game is like Expressive Fire Dancer and Tackle Artist, like damn right I want like 5 mana ways to trigger Opus.
Yeah, so like the card I pull up here is Muse's Encouragement. Like this is mostly a spell that says this costs 5 mana and it's like a little underrated. But like the thing that it does is mostly cost 5 mana.
Yes.
Like when do you want this is the
I
question.
think the thing about Opus is that you're already rewarded for playing spells. So the fact that your spells are a little bit bigger and reward is a lot. It's a bit bigger. It's like sure,
I think it's much better to get incidental ways to spend 5, like Tome Blast. And
I
stuff.
think you should put good 5 mana spells in your deck and not bad ones.
And you probably will not have a dearth of those. Good.
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously, what Ryan was saying, it's less with like. I like trading up, especially like Sky Whale or stuff, or Tackle or stuff like that. I like incidental ways like Burst Lightning, Tome Blast, as opposed to like being. Oh, you want some 5-cost spells, right?
Actually, I think the Fire Dancer is really impactful on neutral opus. Like it's fucked up.
Yeah.
Ellie, you had something?
Like January is saying, Fire Dancer, the whale, and those creatures that want to attack really want the opus for the big final swing as sort of reach. I've been liking Rapturous Moment just as a curve topper to finish the game. Just trigger opus, and if you draw a 5 or something that can be a 5, trigger opus again. You can even discard a Tome Blast and flash it back. Just double trigger opus. So I found that card to be very effective at doing that rather than setting up for later, because usually you're like by the turn 6, if you're still setting up, you're kind of on the back foot.
Would you describe the card as gay?
Is this card playable in Standard?
Is it playable in Standard?
But is it gay? Actually, sorry, Prismari gay. Anyways, I believe the last official college. Thank you for laughing so much at my joke, Molly. is Lorehold. Okay, Lorehold.
Lorehold's really good.
I have like the least experience with this, so someone else take the stage.
That card, the Arc card. Lorehold has a lot of really strong gold cards. Let's put like Flage up there. Let's put Snapcaster Mage.
Flage is fine.
I think Flage is quite good.
I think it's crazy that Flage is only fine in this
Let's put discard to draw. Discard like all these gold cards are like really fucked up.
I know we talked about this earlier, but during our limited meeting, because this is the limited meeting, I want to remind everyone that you can wilt for 2 if you're casting it from your graveyard.
Yes. Off of tablet or Arc.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can't if you use Snapcaster to exile Wilt in the Heat, and then on the next turn you want to cast it. It will cost 4 unless you then remove something else from your graveyard. But yeah.
And then it also has like the good red removal suite. It has all the good white aggro creatures. All of its cards are just like good.
You also get to sometimes play like the more defensive white stuff that no one else wants, because the white stuff is mostly aggressive. For example, the big example of this is Johnny's response.
Yeah.
Quick thing. I just want to explain exactly how the wilt for 2 thing works, because you probably will need to explain it correctly to actually do it. You are announcing that you're casting the spell and putting it on the stack, then paying for it, which is what makes you able to spend 2 on it. So you need to be able to explain that to your opponent and to the judge. I assume if you ask a judge, like,
the
can
judge
I play
should
this
know.
for 2? They won't say, like, yes, you can, here's how. You have to be like, I want to put this on the stack and then pay.
Well, the judge will, if you ask the judge, does this cost 2 right now? They will say yes.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
They won't. They might not give you an explanation for why the answer is yes.
If you've ever tried to crack a Lotus Petal to cast Emery, it's basically the same thing.
Yeah.
Jason, can you play Rebel?
Oh yes. So Rebel Rouser is like one of the most important cards here, definitely. We have 2 cards. That's the 1/4. 3 mana 1/4.
Also great in Prismari, even though we didn't really talk about it there.
It's just a really strong red card, but it triggers all of your leaves the graveyard synergies. It slowly pings your opponent out while being a mana source. It fixes your hand a little bit by just shaping it.
How aggressive is this deck?
It depends.
Yes.
You can draft this with like the white aggro core start, and then your deck is really aggressive. You can draft this more mid-rangey. That's where like Flage comes in. That's where the 4 mana 3/4 that makes 2/2.
We should say the card's actual name instead.
Okay.
Colossus of the Blood Age.
I just wanted to make sure that like people understood what we were saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's the 4 mana 3/4. I'm very bad with card names.
Garrison Excavator.
Thank you. Garrison Excavator. That card is a
Shout
really
out
good
to
grinding
Garrison.
card. It's also good in the aggro deck though,
because the card is just good rate.
Yeah. A lot of the cards just play well in any space. And then whether you're more aggressive or more controlling is like, are you playing more dig site inventories or are you like playing more like removal spells, I guess?
Do you have more 2-drops or not enough 2-drops?
Yeah.
Are you doing the lore hold, leave the graveyard stuff, or are you taking up on it in the face?
Yeah. I think once again it comes down to card dig site inventories.
Yeah.
A lot of times dig site inventory in this deck though, you don't want to cast the front half. You want to pitch it to pursue the past Rubble Rouser.
Yeah.
Because
Although casting the front half is not terrible.
it's not awful. If you have like repartee creatures, it's still good.
Hooks in the back.
Yeah.
Beat your opponent's deck.
Yeah.
Just because Tom brought up the do you want to do the lore hold thing, and that's something that I've been finding hard to balance. You know, I'm trying to build an aggro deck, I'm trying to have the synergies, I'm trying to have a low curve, I'm trying to have a removal, so many things. What I found to be really useful is to have one, hopefully more effects that just repeatedly remove cards from my graveyard. The Sloth is amazing. The Excavator on 3 is amazing. It just allows you to have like, you know, the guy that makes 2/2s trigger him every turn, stuff like that, rather than leaning on flashback. I think flashback is just good because it's flashback.
Yeah.
But if you can trigger your stuff repeatedly without even spending mana, or even better, making mana, I find that super important for the synergy pieces.
Fuck.
Yeah, just kind of echoing
wait.
on what.
I accidentally opened Arena.
Yeah, just piggybacking off of what Jason Chu said. I think like it is more than how I. That's a half letter grade to all of my cards. I don't want to be building a deck that's like, I see, I'm doing the thing. Let me draft 4 Rubble Rousers and no 2-drops.
That
I
is
will die.
yeah, that is the way to make your lore hold deck worse, is to be like, I'm trying to do the thing. I really need to do the thing.
Yeah.
Just put good cards in your deck. You will incidentally do the thing, and your cards will get.
So we're like less high on like Owlin Historian and Living History a little bit.
Living
Yeah,
history
like-
is like a fine 3-drop.
Owlin Historian is a fine 3-drop. 2/3 fire support.
Your threes
Right.
again
I
in this aggro deck, like your 3s are really good as well. Still,
Yeah.
Like similarly, like the 3-mana 3/3 vigilance that is white that we talked about with Silver Gold is still good in this set, in this deck. So like, I have not been like that happy to have the owl in my deck.
I like the owl better than the 3/3. I think the owl's
it's a
just
decent
totally
card. Yeah, I think it's a
2/3
decent
fire.
card, but I don't think it's like that much better.
So my impression of this deck, from mostly from what I've seen other people draft of it, is that it seems like it is. I like to use the word is an assertive deck, not an aggro deck, but like you're trying to like apply pressure to your opponent, but you're not like really 100% focused on getting them dead, because you just have also a lot of other good tools for grinding, like Pursue the Past, like just good removal spells. Primary research is a big one. Thank you,
Practiced
January.
Scrollsmith is a fucked up Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, like you have a lot of just really strong cards, so you just like grind into the late game incidentally while still pressuring your opponent. That's been my impression.
Yeah. Right. I agree with that, and so that's why to kind of iterate. That's the wrong word. Anyway, to kind of emphasize why Colossus of the Blood Age is good here, I think specifically is because of that kind of shape of deck. We're not to be like, I want to play exactly 16 lands, curve out very aggressive Silver Quill repartee style deck. We are the larger version where we're slamming larger creatures over and over. And the fact that this is a large creature that will give us advantage if they do kill it and just helixes them in the face is like, all of this is great.
Stompy in every color pair, baby.
Yeah.
In the face and body.
5 check on the 5-drop flyer, send a dust speaker.
It's good.
It also does the thing every turn.
Yeah,
it's good. Yeah,
the stats are just
in the same slot.
Shining Aerosol.
yeah. It just has on rate stats like 5 mana 3/4 flyer that gives a counter somewhere.
But I found too many. Play it.
I like the art.
I agree. The art's weird.
Sorry. Is 3 pursuit a past away?
You just discard them to each other.
Pursue the card has insane data.
It
It
does.
just looks at cards and like does the thing.
And it gains you life.
Yes.
The life gain is pretty important.
Yeah.
You also do go up a card when you flash it back.
Especially good against, I think, in a silver form matchup.
Yeah.
It stops you flooding, so don't play less lands, play normal amount of lands.
Yeah, it's just this is your like red white like card flow tool for like red white based like soup. That's not in multicolor sense, but like good card
Playing
pie.
like 18 lands in our like 2 pursue the pass.
No,
just play 17 lands and then discard land 6.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't go, oh, this is the borrow deck, I want 16 lands.
Yeah.
This stops you flooding.
Yeah.
I want to go back to the speaker. I've had aggressive enough Lorville decks where I just don't want this 5-drop.
Yeah. It's like a common 5-drop. You don't.
Yeah.
It's a common 5-drop. Emphasis on the number 5.
Yeah. But it's good. You're totally happy to put it in most decks. Yeah. Tackle Artist can also be a combo card here a little bit. Dig Set Inventory goes kind of hard with.
You have all the good red removal.
Yeah.
Ooh! I saw someone ask today in the Dual Tactics channel. I think it may have been Nor. If anyone has had experience casting the card Dual Tactics. Thoughts?
It's
good card.
Fine. I don't love it as a removal spell. Like 3 mana to shock something is bad. Even
Well,
if it
I mean, like,
things. I've sideboarded it. I should say I've sideboarded it in against like the Quandrix big creature stompy deck, where I'm just like, your giant thing doesn't block, kill you. It was.
I would say it's more of a falter than a removal spell.
Basically, are your aggressive Lorehold decks like interested in this kind of falter effect?
I liked it the time I played it. Sometimes it's 3 mana kill something from Silver Quill because we're both trying to aggro each other out. Sometimes it's just 3 mana, you don't get to block this turn, take 7. And that's usually been good enough. Maybe there are some casual synergies here and there. I really like Carol as a card, and I can imagine on 5 flashback and use the pump to give trample to trample over the small creature that they can still block with because you can shot 6-7, right? So I think it's a serviceable card, but it's not one that I'm interested particularly in.
I've drafted it a lot when red-white is the open lane, and I'm like thinking I'm a pretty aggressive deck that's doing the graveyard thing. And when I end up with a good deck, I just cut it because I don't have room for it.
It's like a scrappier deck.
Yeah.
Like that blue-green trick, like sometimes you have to hit your opponent in the face.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's like a 25th card for me a lot.
Agreed.
Yeah.
That's how
Okay, I have a question about this.
Gonna say
Oh, yeah.
I was gonna ask about Ennis, the 2 mana 1/1.
That card's bad.
Okay.
Good with practice Scrollsmith.
Yes.
Yes.
Similar to Daydream. Like I would need a lot of Scrollsmiths to play this sort of.
Well, isn't this like a little?
Scrollsmiths, I'm putting it in my deck.
Isn't this just like only a little worse than Mascot?
Yeah, kind of.
think
It
the
does
data
play
for it is a
meaningfully
lot
worse.
worse.
Okay.
You can't just cast it on turn 2. Really.
Yeah, that's fair.
Right, yeah. I think there are a lot of structural problems with it. It is meaningfully worse for you playing it on 2 is kind of bad. It starts 1 lower, which is relevant, right? Effectively, that's why the straight blue-green deck isn't very good, is because everything starts too low, and it has those structural problems. That being said, there are certain decks that do lean more towards the exile space, where this can be fine. But even in a deck where I felt like I was doing it really well, early access, I remember mentioning that I was confused as to when Ennis triggered versus like my Warhold stuff triggering because they were similar but different. Even in that where I was able to like play it on turn 3 and always grow it every turn, it wasn't generally the biggest thing on board.
Going on the end step is also a lot worse than going immediately.
Like growing multiple times a turn.
Yes.
You can't.
It's like a Spirit Master, but 1 smaller. No, because Spirit Master sometimes goes multiple times a turn, which is going off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think like don't like try not to put it in your deck, but if you do have like 2 Scrollsmiths, I probably would put it in my deck. And like a lot of good removal that I want to
I think this is similar to the card Daydream, by the way. If you have like 2 Scrollsmiths, you could like think about playing Daydream as one of your last cards.
Yeah, but this definitely has a lower floor. It is kind of just 2 mana, 2/2.
Yeah.
A higher floor.
Sorry, higher. Yeah, that's what. Yeah.
I have a card question. I feel like at some point I heard that Carol had terrible stats, but it looks really good to me, and it looked really good when it was played against me.
I think it's good. I don't think it's premium. Like it's hard to turn on in time for the like pump to really get you like unfair for the stage of the game you're in stats is how I would put it.
I feel like it feels unfair at every stage of the game, but I don't know.
It's good when
Can we look at stats for?
Yeah, we should.
Right now, it is negative IWD and white red. It is 57.3% itself with a negative 1.3, but white red is very high in general.
I want to know for the people who play this card, what the play pattern looks like when it's good.
You get to the end game, you activate your Rebel Rouser, you trigger Kirill, you play it.
This is very similar to that. Like you look.
Put 2+1/+1 counters.
The couple white repartee cards also get better with Kirill.
Combo with Kirill, Forum, Necroscribe.
Reanimate
Reanimate your entire graveyard.
Best of 1 hand smooth with killing someone on turn 6.
I think it's partly that. I think it's partly that decks that are red-white and have prioritized Kirill over Mascot are maybe worse. Mascot is better. You want Mascot, I think, more because it just grows faster and becomes a relevant thing like more consistently. But Kirill's good. You should play it in every red-white deck. It's solid. Don't get tricked by the stats being like a little bit stinky. It's good.
It feels very Abigail-esque.
Scrappy.
Yeah.
It is scrappier in decks that will expect them to beat it.
Yeah, for sure.
It does have positive IWD in best of 3.
BO1L moment. What other cards? I mean, this color pair has really good removal.
Yeah. I think we've talked about most things.
Do we talk about Tablet of Discovery? I think so.
That card's good.
That card's just
Lets you
fine.
like pursue the past.
Yeah, pays for your pursues.
Really nicely.
You play it on 3 as a mana more than you expect.
Yeah. Lessons from Constructed.
I think there's a lot of decks that might benefit from
Primary Research is just good, is my impression.
Just good. Yeah.
It can be an engine like some aggro deck or some more assertive decks will launch. Yeah. Will not.
Random.
You don't have enough synergy. Yeah.
It's a card draw spell for your assertive decks.
If you're more like if you're in the space of like I just have really good white creatures kill you, instead of like I'm doing the lore hole thing really aggressively. It's a bit hard to get every turn.
Yeah.
Your really
Notably-
good white creatures are going to be like mana value 3 or less. Though.
Yeah. May was saying it is a Boros card, not a Silver Quill card.
However, there are cases where someone could play like you have multiple of like Campbell or like fixed inventories, like or like Killing Confidence. It's a maybe, but like still be pretty.
Yeah, if you're picking it early, you're planning on being like Boros to maximize it.
Wait, it triggers off Killian's Confidence?
Yeah, it's whenever it's like on your end step if a card left your graveyard.
It also works with all the exile from graveyard repeatedly things. But what I wanted to say is the 4/3 blind vigilance is a free draw.
Yes.
You can reanimate that, and it feels a lot
You can
better.
pitch it to your Rebel Rouser.
That's what I was
Next
going to
turn.
say. I think this is not like don't think of it as an engine card. It's just a good card. It draws you cards. I saw someone splash for it. Rebel Rouser into this is great synergy, right? So
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
it's just good.
Can we talk about Summon Dromedary? I don't know if this card.
Yeah, we should talk about this card. I have not known how to evaluate it. My impression is it is too clunky to really count as like a grinding tool.
I
really want to pitch it.
Yeah, I think it's Clue Token Emblem.
I had one draft where I pitched to pursue the pass repeatedly, and it felt great.
Yeah.
Did it feel great, or did it like actually matter in when you the game?
I mean, I just kept up with my soup opponent on cards.
Okay.
Yeah.
While still pressuring them on the board.
It sounds like it was Clue Token Emblem.
Yeah.
Which sometimes you want it.
It's specifically Clue Token Emblem with Charging Strife.
Charging Strife Knight.
That is pretty do other things while doing this thing.
Yeah.
It plays better than the ring.
So what we're saying is we're not generally casting.
Once again,
it's fine.
Can I say that?
It's gonna have bad stats.
Lawholt's cards are so strong that I'm not so impressed with Charging Strike Knight. It's okay.
It's still good.
Yeah.
But the rest of the cards are so good that this just feels
It'll get in your
Very good card.
Yeah, it's good.
Is it maybe worth saying that, well, not necessarily, but not the PT draft level? Probably it will be well known that Warhold is very strong, and so you might have to play some of those.
Yes.
Cards.
Generally, the PT metagame is pretty cognizant of the 17 lands metagame, is how I'd put it. It's not exactly matching, but what you would expect people to do given that they know the 17, what has been performing well on 17 lands or whatever.
Agreed.
A lot of people will just have that knowledge.
Shout out to Stone Docent.
What?
Stone Docent.
The 3/1 that surveils.
2-3-1.
You said good blue card?
Shout out.
Glue.
Glue.
It just kind of ties your synergies together sometimes, and it's just fills your curve.
Yeah.
And it punishes soup, because if they don't play a thing to deal with it, it deals 6 damage.
Well, punishes bad soup.
Yeah.
Is that a good segue?
The card Calamity sometimes doesn't have target in your opponent's deck. If you have it, you can play them.
Okay, I have almost literally never found this card to not just kill everything I want it to all the time.
Sometimes the silver the opponent just has a pile of free throws.
Yeah, I don't know.
Even then, there will be something.
Yeah.
And they'll become 4/4s.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they're the vigilance one.
Earlier today, I was playing against Prismari Big Stuff, and there was an abstract paint mage on the other side, and I had Repel Calamity and Stand Up For Yourself stuck in my hand, and my opponent was just going big spell to big spell to big spell because she had infinite mana, and I was just like, alright.
Yeah, I mean that will happen sometimes. I just kind of think this removal spell is an actively great removal spell.
I think you should not make.
Yeah.
I think you should not make all of your removal spells be repel and stand up for yourself.
If you have one, you can take an ancestral anger and put it in your deck.
You can, yeah. I had three of those 2 repels in the stand up for yourself in my earlier deck, and they were great.
I think repel is substantially better.
Yeah,
Yes.
2 is a lot less than 3. Yeah.
It's
and the toughness matters. Sonar, yeah, there's a lot of big toughness creatures.
Big butts.
Yeah.
Soup.
Yeah.
Soup.
So I think before we talk about soup, I want to talk about in general what I have been finding in this format.
You don't want to talk about
that?
You don't want to talk about the secret school.
Oh, that's right. Should actually touch on this, I think, before that.
Okay, so in general, I will say some words about before we talk about specifically Gruul, which is sometimes you get strong cards in one color and strong cards in another color, and then they come together to form a deck.
This is like the birds and the bees.
Yes.
For living.
The R's and the G's.
I drafted this earlier this morning. I think it's pretty solid. Just again, Shopkeeper's Bane is a very solid body.
It has high win rate, low sample size on 17 lands.
Yes,
it's the most popular college or non-college.
Non-college. A lot of this finding.
wild. Like
This deck's too strong.
Okay, well,
card.
as well with
punch spells. Which, the green decks don't really want the punch spells that much, other than this one. I think Burrock Barrage is not really a Simic or a Quandrix card because they don't have good enough bodies to fight with it. Whereas if you have the red 2-drop, you're punching for like maybe 3, maybe 4 on turn 3, which is very
maybe
good.
5.
Maybe 5. Maybe 5 if you have like an Ancestral Anger or something. But
well, no. If you cast a spell and then you cast Barrage, your Fire Dancer will become a 4/4, and Barrage will give it +1.
Sure, okay. But yeah, that's a very nice combo. In general, in the Gruul space, you're just looking to play good bodies and fight spells. A lot of the bonus sheet cards or Mystical Archives are very strong in this deck. I noticed that in the 17 lands data, a lot of the best performing ones had the card Berserk
This
in it.
is just kind of not working anymore.
Maybe maybe an indicator that Berserk is good.
Put on the basketball game.
Put on Pimple Popper?
No.
No, do not do that.
Put that on.
Dr. Pimple Popper to you. It's just not. I'm
Is it
clicking
the
on
65?
No, it's
Rule is
not.
too
That's
strong.
the other house.
Okay.
Rule is too strong. Yeah.
Rip, our TV died. Our TV connection.
Person doesn't want us to know about the tech.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I asked earlier, but other people might want to hear it. Are we trying to go into Gruul?
We're not trying to go into
I'm just going to restart my
Have we
computer.
tried to go soup?
This is
And
going
now
to take us
we've
out of
ended
the
up
Discord
super
voice call.
open.
Oh,
We have some
true.
red cards, we have some green cards.
BRB, for people online, BRB in the meeting, Ryan's restarting their computer.
To try to connect. Oh, wait. That,
Okay, you just threatened your computer and
Yeah.
There we go.
I'll say it again. Have we tried to go into like a green, blue, red mid-range soupy deck, and it's not open, and we've ended up with a pile of cards?
I think-
Or are we actively trying to take these cards?
I think you're not actively trying to take these cards. What happens is you just take good red and green cards and like
And
good
then you-
cards in general, and you
then you-
end up
Let's
into
say
this
you
space.
pack one, pick one, a Slumbering Trudge.
Sure.
Then you get past an Unsuitable Mockery. Or unsuitable,
Okay.
whatever.
Unsubtle.
At that point, I would try to be in like rug.
Yeah, you tried to be in a soupy space, but maybe that's not
You don't
open.
see any to go.
Yeah.
And then you get a tackle artist. And then you get an expressive fire dancer, like late-ish.
I think what happens is you're trying to be in the rug color pile
That's what I'm
soup,
saying to other people. You know?
and then it dries up
Yeah.
because people in the Pro Tour might be trying to get soup decks.
You see a royal tree
They
with the
will
dog
be trying
wants.
to get the soup deck.
They're most likely going to be trying to play soup decks. You end up in this spot where you're getting passed to by like 2 soup players, or like multiple soup players are on your right, and you end up in this space where you're just playing good red cards, good green cards, because these are cards that are not contested by the soup deck, and you just end up with a pretty good stompy deck.
This is very much a bite spell deck. Like it's a little bit like Samp's green black version built around the 4/2, but also you can have the 1/2 Death Toucher that does a really good job with biting stuff.
These also just bite well.
Yeah, they also do that.
Almost all of the bonus sheet uncommons are pretty good in this deck. Like Giant Growth, Monstrous Rage, Royal Treatment,
Bulk up,
Bulk-up's
removal.
excellent.
You can't play like too many tricks. Like you probably want,
Yes.
I don't know, 6 tricks at most in your deck, and you want a lot of creatures to support them. But they're really good rate tricks, and there kind of isn't a home for them in the format beyond this kind of space.
Yeah. And the nice thing is most of this exists at like common.
I also want to bring up what's it called? Effervescence? Efflorescence?
Efflorescence. Efflorescence.
This card is going to be like last pick. No one's taking this card. This card is usually not very contested, and it is pretty good in this deck with your Shopkeeper's Vein.
Love a good feral invocation.
It turns your Shopkeeper's Vein into a very good threat. As soon as you put this on there, they cannot kill it ever.
The 5-drop 4/5, great in with tricks. They try to double block it because they don't want to cast a removal spell targeting it, and you blow them out. Like actual blowout, not combat trick blowout where you 1-for-1.
Or like red player tries to burn it to death and you giant growth it after drawing a card.
Totally. Yeah.
you're just looking to play big bodies in this deck and fight your opponent's creatures.
Isn't that regular combat trick? Why would it be special? The only trick is
Just
an
a
opponent.
factor.
I'm assuming they double blocked. That's an actual combat trick blowout.
Because they
This
don't
is
want
2
to
for
target
1.
kill spells. They rather
So often people say like they used a combat trick to trade with my creature, they blew me out, and that's not what that is.
That's a removal.
They've blown out your back.
They've blown out your back.
Okay, that's red green.
Yeah, that's red green. It's a deck. Be aware.
You don't
of
get
it.
any gold cards.
Yeah, that's the
You don't get any gold cards. If you're in this, don't look for gold cards. Do not play the artifact creature at 2 mana. You will never trigger it. That is the
Oh,
worst
my
2 drop for this deck.
All right. So I think we can talk about soup, but the big preamble to this is what I have found is that most decks in this format, besides the really assertive white aggro decks, really want to have the soup categories of cards: card flow, removal, big creatures. Card flow, removal, big creatures. Card flow, removal, big creatures. If you have these 3 properties in your Secrets of Strixhaven draft deck, that draft deck will be fundamentally good. It is really hard to not have a good deck if you have that. Big creatures means creatures that block well early in the game. Although the removal kind of helps with that too. It can't just be big, expensive creatures, I guess is what I mean. Good rate creatures for their mana cost on 2, 3, 4. Doesn't really matter if you are strongly based 2 colors, maybe with a light splash, or if you're fully in a soup space with tons of fixing using the converge payoffs. Either way, structuring your deck this way, knowing what base colors you're in for your early plays, and then having whatever colors of cards you can cobble together to fill out these categories, card flow, removal, big creatures, is going to result in a very strong deck. And I think you should often build your 2-color guild decks that aren't specifically Silver Quill or Red White Boros, Lorehold, that aren't aggro decks in this way, and then it'll become soup if you end up splashing a little bit or really kind of becoming more of a deck that's truly just focused on this.
Oh no, I'm not adding anything really important. It's just draft fundamentals, right?
It is, yeah, but I think some
It's very
people,
rewarding for draft.
some maybe arena zoomers would think draft fundamentals are I want a stack of 2 drops, that are aggressive and can pressure my opponent. Not necessarily. I think that there's a huge delta between the premium, high rate 2 drops that can actually compete in combat later in the game, and 2 drops that are just 2 mana 2/2s, which there are a lot of, and they are nowhere near as good as the good ones in this format. January.
Death Touch.
Death Touch is really good. Yes. Anything that is going to be able to be relevant in combat on turn 6 is how I would put it. So I've seen a lot of in-house drafts this week, and just in general, other decks that didn't do super well and didn't feel good, and a lot of my early Witherbloom decks, for example, that I thought were really good because they had a lot of the synergy words and had a good curve and had enough removal. Big creatures and card flow are the easiest 2 things to miss in your deck, and it will make it play out a lot worse than you think it does looking at it. So really make sure when you're drafting that you're taking into account, are my creatures able to tussle in combat, and do I have enough card flow in my deck? Because I think a lot of games in this format just come down to who can draw more cards that matter over the course of the game or produce more pieces of rectangles that matter on the board. The last note I want to give is, because the premium rate 2 drops that are good at blocking and always going to be relevant in combat later in the game are rare, and because a lot of the aggro decks are still playing a ton of removal, Silver Quill especially, but just every single aggro deck, removal, I find, and because a lot of the creatures grow, the premium 2 drops grow, removal is more effective at defending you than cheap, big, defensive static creatures. You want cheap removal to deal with the Silver Quill cards that are growing. Bounce also works pretty effectively for this. That kind of counts as defensive speed. You want to defend yourself with removal spells, not creatures, in this format a good amount of the time. So that should be kind of how you're building the like defensive speed a little bit more than I think most traditional soup decks in those formats. Sorry, that was a big rant, but I think it's really, really, really important to have all of these 3 properties in every single deck you draft in this format.
I will add a 4th property. The 4th property is mana development. And this is often important specifically because your soup decks can often be splashy. Now, this is like, you can have less of this if your soup deck isn't splashy, right? Like, if you're just playing a straight like blue-red deck that happens to have most of its plan focused on just playing good cards, like card flow, removal, big bodies, whatever. But you still, honestly, even in those decks, you still want some amount of mana development because
it pairs well with card flow.
Yeah, it pairs well with card flow and it pairs well with removal, right? You want to like be able to cast your stuff. You're not usually like, if you're getting stuck on lands, you're not going to be able to like utilize all your cards to the best of your ability, and that matters more when your opponent isn't like actively dying, which these decks are often not going to be as assertive. So I here the first column I have like mana development stuff, obviously fixing, very important, but in terms of like from lands, but
the lands are kind of the best fixing.
Other than Pestra Trove.
Other than Trove, and there are a few really specific like cards that are just very high rate.
Yeah.
But mostly structurally, generally, you do not want to be playing spells whose main purpose in your deck is to fix. You want to be you want to have like a bunch of lands that work.
But if you cannot find the lands, you should make sure that you still have enough sources, and this might require taking like fixing spells.
Yes.
Like, and I don't know. There's a lot of powerful fixing spells. Like Environmental Scientist is good. Shared Roots is pretty decent. It's okay.
It's very
like
bit, yeah.
Sonar is very good. Hydro Channeler is pretty decent. Like the ramp stuff does legitimately pair well with card draw. You know. There's a lot of different ways to get card advantage. I'm not like pulling every single card of the set out here, but like, you know, here's just some examples. Shout outs to Embrace the Paradox. I've put Arcane Omens here because making your opponent discard 5 is kind of like that. It's a little more dangerous because if they have a board, making them discard their hand doesn't help you against their board, whereas drawing more cards yourself does draw you into removal to deal with their board. But like it is somewhat of this category. But
this card is just really good. Like there are some fail cases your opponent will be like have 1 or 2 cards in hand and you're behind on board. Like it's bad there, but it's just kind of a premium card. When it wins games, it just like wins the game.
But you need to have the rest of your deck work around it.
Yes.
Like you actively
need to be able
things.
to cast it for 3 consistently, 4 pretty often, 5 sometimes is good. But yeah.
I think one thing that I misevaluated, my general leanings as a limited player are proactive, aggressive, arena style, best of one. So I am a player who would naturally think this is not very good in general. But I think as we kind of alluded to in the Lorehold discussion, right? Like there's the very aggressive Silver Quill-esque one, sure, and there's Silver Quill in general, but every other deck often wants to be doing something that keeps their hand pretty full, or is trying to make one very impactful play a turn, which means that their hand is still pretty stocked into turn 5. Which means this does work.
Yeah. Sometimes it's not even turn 5 because you play Potion or Stroke.
I played this on turn 12 and it was great.
I will say, don't be afraid to side it out.
Yes.
Really briefly, I noticed when we were talking about mana development, we did not mention the Studious Mercenary. Thoughts on that card?
Well, I just didn't pull every single
that
card.
Counts as the you don't want to need to use it, but you definitely will use it if you need it.
Yeah.
Do you have a limit on how many tap lands in your deck?
Once you
Depends on your
okay.
defensive speed.
So how I put it is the first 2 tap lands are like very free for every deck, mostly.
You play them in your 2-color decks.
If you're
fixing
if you're 16 lands low curve deck, like the second tap land can cost something, but is almost certainly worth it in your 2-color deck, assuming it's like your actual tap land. Next threshold is like around 4 or 5 is like you start to feel like sometimes you need to like take a turn off a little bit. once you get to, and I hate to say it, or I love to say it, 6 or 7, that starts getting like pretty severe. Going past that, I would rather not.
You are going third.
Yeah, I do not like going third, especially not when I'm on the play.
I think if you have a lot of cheap removal, that can like, yeah. I do think we should talk more about the lands a little bit, because figuring out how they're valued in each pack of your draft pod is kind of important. The way I tend to think about the lands is I don't really think about them as like, if I'm drafting a lot of lands, I'm in soup. And if I'm not drafting a lot of, or like if I'm not in soup, I don't want a lot of lands. I kind of think of them as like force multipliers for my draft, where if I pick up a land in my colors or touching my colors into a promising splash color early, that will either let me pick up converge payoffs like Arcane Omens or any of the archaics, and that's pretty good, or it will let me like splash to fill holes that I need in the deck. And so I tend to highly value picking up the lands, even if I'm still planning to be base 2-color, because there's just a lot of good gold cards in the format. There's a lot of like holes that you end up wanting to fill in your deck, and it just gives you more options as the draft goes on. Together one is a great example. Like that card is awesome if you just have a mostly 2-color deck that has like 4 lands in it, 4 of the taplets, you know what I mean? Yeah, like I think they are very useful for soup, but more decks are soup than you think, and they also just do good things in decks that are not super soupy.
And
So
we should point out once again, people know this, lands will go higher than you expect.
yes.
Yeah.
Small gameplay thing, I found myself not really surveilling on upkeep very much because there's so many cards that let you spend a ton of mana that I would rather start the surveilling on end step so that I can like use all my mana at the turn where I draw the big card. Think about it particular situation to situation, but like if you have a lot of card draw in your deck or ways to spend mana, I would probably just default to like blind drawing first once you get to the board stall and then starting to surveil on end step.
Or if you exactly know you're 1 out and you can pay for it.
Think about it, right? Exactly. But generally speaking,
Yeah. So I pulled out card flow. I pulled out like there's a billion removal spells in the set. I pulled out some of them. I pulled out some like notable like things I would say are large creatures. Shout outs to my boy Mage Tower Referee, one of the best large creatures in that it costs 2 mana. Only sometimes though. Not always. It doesn't always work, but you'll know. Some of the best cards here are like sort of hybrid roles. For example, Noxious Newt is mana development and also a large creature in that it has death touch and trades with things, right? Something like Molten Note is both a removal spell and kind of like card flow. It's card advantage at least, right? Like Stress Stream maybe more directly as card flow, right? So like your best tools are the ones that like serve multiple roles. There's also other kinds of roles, like for Sonar is so broken because it's a 2-drop, which is a role you need. It's mana development, which often you want in your soup deck, and it's card flow because of the prepared spell. All really nice stuff. And then finally, like I pulled that together as one because Ryan was talking about converge spells, but also just one of the benefits of being soup is like
actively consider playing it in a straight up 2-color deck. Maybe not, maybe, but like if you can play it for 3 at any point reasonably consistently, you absolutely are putting it in your deck.
If you're 2-color deck, make a treasure, you play it.
Yeah.
But you don't play it.
Yeah. One way to think about this is the 6 mana 2-color mode is like you draw 3 cards and one of them is a free shot that gains you 2 life. 6 mana draw 3 is not horrible rate, especially if one of them is free shock. Like you need to kill a creature with that for it to be worth it. I boarded it in against the deck with a bunch of X2s earlier, and the card's fucking.
In a silver.
We'll talk about it in rares later. Yeah.
A note about draft navigation. So we've talked about soup before, and at some point Ryan was like, "Oh, try forcing soup on arena or whatever, just to like get a feel for it." You do not need to force soup to like end up in soup or like to utilize the fact that soup exists in your draft, because often the cards that you want to take anyways are the strong cards, like rares that like naturally might lead you in a soupy direction to be able to cast them, because you want to be sometimes like you take a strong red-white card, but then like white isn't that open, and so you're like in blue-red, but you want to be able to splash, and that leads you to want to take more mana development stuff, which leads you to want to take more card draw and removal, and it all like dovetails into soup. Also, you want to take, like we've said, it's very important in this format to like have a lot of ways to spend your mana and take card flow. And so taking some of that early and also taking removal early, which is something that's often important in the format as well, that just leaves you open to a soupy direction as well. But like you can still like kind of flex between a more focused, synergistic 2-color deck that maybe even a more assertive deck and a soup deck, because a lot of the cards that are good in one are still good in the other. And the question is kind of like, how many colors are you playing, and like, do you actually need to play those colors, or like, is it actually worth it to play those colors? And like, do you want to take all these fixing pieces to play those colors, in which case you're probably having less focused, synergistic, assertive piles, or assertive decks. Not piled is the opposite of synergistic, I guess.
It is much better to start out believing that you're drafting an open color pair that is going to be a consistent deck and end up in a soupy space because you wanted to splash certain cards and got the tools to splash them, than to start a draft thinking, I'm soup, I'm going to take all the lands. I don't know what colors I'm going to be. Probably all of them. That, I think, is a recipe for, like, unless you're very careful navigating and good at finding a base color that can play early cards, that's, like, dangerous. Try not to do that.
Unless you're Witherbloom, in which case you should just be more soup.
How does Potionary Strip?
I think
card is very good.
it's very good. I would take it quite highly. I think it's definitely worse in like most straight up 2-color decks, and it's really good if you're taking advantage of the fixing. You need to be careful not to make your deck not function when you don't draw it. I would say it's like a very good way to enable a lot of things that are hard to make work in decks, and it like turns on a lot of things. Like you can play more card flow because it stabilizes you in life a little bit toward the end of the game. You can splash more like opportunistically if you have 2 of these, kind of thing.
Should you like be specking on this?
Yeah, I think it's good enough to do that.
I think roughly this is a soup speculation. You're not generally putting this in your non-soup decks. Like when I say soup, I don't even mean multicolor, but I mean like the general concept of like having your deck mostly be a bunch of pile of removal and card flow and impactful stuff.
Do you remember the rock in Dragons of Tarkir?
Yeah,
that
Dragons
ended
of
up being the best common by like a lot. Everyone figured out by the end.
The Dragonstorm Globe. It was a manolith that made your dragons enter with +1/+1.
Yeah, I mean, it was really good. It was really, I remember being really good.
I think the archetype was good, and people who knew how to draft it were good drafters. So it ended up-
Potionary Trove is like that. It's a very good manolith. It very much like points in the soup direction. You should take it, like if you're taking it, it's to like as a pick towards soup, and keep that in mind. But it's certainly a powerful pick towards soup.
I guess we should also like maybe explicitly shout out, you do want to have bombs. Like when we say impactful cards, big creatures, you want to make sure all of your creatures do well in combat. But like to be a more card flow removal heavy deck, you do want some cards that are like gonna end games because they're just so incredible on rate. So like any of the Emeriti here, Snarl Song is a really good like uncommon version of this that kind of counts. But you do kind of want like a couple busted rares in your deck to really want to draft a like super soupy deck.
That card's
really good. Yeah, with someone else.
The red and white Emeritus.
The red Emeritus is good, but
yeah, but it doesn't count as like a bomb.
I agree. Yeah. The white Emeritus is the common 4-drop a little bit.
Yeah, but it's a 3/3 that makes a little bit fun. Yeah.
Correct, the common 4-drop.
But for 3.
Yeah. It's 3.5 mana.
Yeah, exactly. Because white is bad.
Yeah.
An example from this morning I want to give is like I picked one to Mathemagics, and I spent basically my entire draft straddling between Mathemagics combo deck and soup, which are 2 very different things. and the difference is that my Mathemagics combo deck had no way to win games other than casting Mathemagics for X = 5 targeting my opponent. Whereas a soup deck, I would have been playing my Lorehold and my Wild Growth Archaic as like impactful creatures as bombs.
For those were pretty similar though. Like
the support was similar, so I could flex between those two. But like there was distinct differences in like I didn't care like at all about like having creatures that would attack my opponent in games. I just wasn't ever attacking my opponent. I didn't try hard to splash my creature bombs that would like take over combat because that wasn't what my deck was doing. And that's a very different kind of focused deck than you normally think. But you know,
one people don't do enough is learning at certain rares force you to draft different ways.
Yeah.
Play different ways.
Like I went
Yeah.
to pick one Quandrix versus
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Sorry, there's a thought. Oh.
Any other thoughts?
Yeah. So I think in my mind, I always associate soup with ramp. I think the way you've described soup or are talking about soup is quite a bit different from that. Anyway, that's just a thought. But I wanted to talk about page, and my page is so bad, and I found it good, but when has it worked?
This is the O2.
Yes.
Yeah. Can I answer?
Yeah.
So, ramp is getting you towards your end game. Or removal does the same thing.
I was going to make exactly the same point. Removal is ramp in a way, similar to like in Constructed, dealing with your opponent's early game does get you to your late game.
And they're kind of doing the same things, but
Agreed.
But removal's better.
Removal, I think, is better because it can just be used in late games, whereas ramp can't really be.
Yeah. There's also partly why I like saying the word mana development, because there's a lot of different kinds of things that can be mana development, and they're not all ramp. Like, environmental scientist is mana development. It's I like the ramp spells more as things that improve your consistency, not as things that like
The
literally
red-white tormenting voice is kind of mana development.
yeah, things that improve your consistency, not things that literally get you to cast your expensive spells faster, because I don't actually care about having like a bunch of expensive spells. And like I want Potioner's Trove because it makes my mana work and like gives me a little more mana to cast my card draw spells, and also gains me life when I don't need to be using that mana, right? And something like Page is just, it literally just gives you colorless mana. It's just barely a body, and like it doesn't do anything else.
So never be good.
I've tried a deck with like 4 of them that had like a lot of spells to like just use the whatever it's called ability.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It was not impressive. I like wanted to science it, but getting a random spell was not that good.
If I had fewer good 2-drops in my Math Magic combo deck, I would have played it.
Yeah. If you really like going from 2 to 4 to 5, like you can play it and it will be serviceable in that role, but you're like holding your nose while you do it.
You're not happy to have it.
Yeah, not at all.
It is just that is what's wrong.
Well, honestly, it's better in 2-color decks that want to spend a lot of mana. Yeah.
My Math Magic combo.
I remember from the soup discussion yesterday, 2 days ago, I forget.
2 days, I think.
2 days, yeah. That like we can't put too many like mana sources in our deck, right? And so like if we are putting mana sources in our deck for mana development, like we're trying to put tropes, we're trying to put environmental scientists. If we have to put a page in there for that, maybe, but like it's not helping, as you said, it doesn't help fix color, and we probably just don't have room.
No, I think fundamentally it's not a soup card. I think and I'm wondering where has the card.
Quandrix and Prismari, when I have like 5-drop expensive spells or stopping creatures, like then I might play it if my curve is too high.
But it's a lot worse than something like new or trying to learn.
Access, I had like a red capstone deck a page because I had a bunch of like big spells that I want to get.
Yeah.
Okay.
Expensive spells.
Are we about done talking about soup, and therefore probably about done talking about archetypes? Take a break here before part 2 of Limited Meeting, talking about every single rare and mythic.
Yep. Woo! Thanks, everyone.
Yay. Come back in 15 minutes. Let's say like 4:40.
Yeah. 4:40.
A440.
I just keep it going. 15.
I said A440.
Shut up.
Are you good on
15 minutes, that's premium power nap time. Because I've decided to be extremely embarrassed.